Chapter 59. Young Master Chief Lu is here. 3 days later, Donghuang, who had been practicing in his room, was once again startled awake by Fu. It was also because of Lu Qinghu's visit. What's the matter? Donghuang sat cross-legged on the bed, looking at Lu Qinghu, who had just entered the room. Young Master Donghuang. Lu Qinghu bowed to Donghuang and said with a serious expression, I just received news. The First Lady of the Li family has returned. So what? Donghuang's expression did not change. The First Lady of the Li family, Li Kaiyun, did not return alone. She returned with her man. Lu Qinghu's eyes were filled with fear. Her man is the first young master of the Wu family of the intermediate-level Guangling Prefecture, Wu Nanshuan. The Wu family of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture is a grand family, and there are many level 6 adepts in the family. Even when the first young master of the Wu family, Wu Nanshuan, goes out, he has at least 2 level 5 adepts with him. As Lu Qinghu spoke, he took a deep breath and looked at Donghuang. Young Master Donghuang, the second young master of the Li family you killed, Li Pingyun, was the younger brother of Li Kaiyun. I'm worried that she will instigate Wu Nanshuan to avenge her brother and harm you. Lu Qinghu voiced his concern. You rushed here so anxiously, just to say this? Donghuang shook his head, feeling that Lu Qinghu was making a mountain out of a molehill. Young Master Donghuang, that's a grand family. Lu Qinghu could not help but remind Donghuang again when he saw that Donghuang did not seem to mind. In a grand family, there was at least a level 6 adept holding the fort. And in the Grand Wu family, there were 5 level 6 adepts, and there were no less than 20 level 5 adepts. Even the governor's household of Yunfeng Prefecture, the Zhao family, only had 1 level 5 adept. If there's nothing else, you can go back. Don't disturb my practice. Donghuang looked at Lu Qinghu impatiently, and after saying that, he closed his eyes and continued practicing. 3 days ago, he had formulated a qi-gathering elixir that could increase the sensitivity to qi by 7 times. In these 3 days, his rate of practice had increased. Previously, with the help of the qi-gathering elixir that increased the sensitivity to qi by 6 times, he had broken through from level 3 to level 4 of qi-gathering in about 40 days, attaining level 4 on March 10, 1228 of the Ziyun era. It was now the 25th of March 1228 of the Ziyun era. Even with the qi-gathering elixir that increases the sensitivity to qi by 7 times, I would still need close to 2 months to attain level 5 of qi-gathering. After closing his eyes again to practice, he sighed to himself. Perhaps, it's time to find an opportunity to make a trip to the capital. The capital city was the second largest city in the country of Yunyang, second only to the imperial city. Not only was it prosperous, but the medicinal herbs that could be bought there were also more abundant and complete. Yunfeng Prefecture was located within the western ridge of the Chu King, and the household that controlled the western ridge of the Chu King was the Chu royal household. Within the western ridge of the Chu King, including Yunfeng Prefecture, there were many inferior, intermediate, and superior prefectures under the control of the Chu royal household. And the Chu royal household was located in the Chu royal city within the western ridge of the Chu King. Young Master Donghuang, inside the room, seeing that Donghuang had closed his eyes and was beginning to practice, ignoring him, Lu Qinghu's lips curled into a bitter smile, but at the same time, his eyes began to shine unusually brightly. This young Master Donghuang's nonchalance made him feel a strong sense of self-confidence. It looks like young Master Donghuang is not afraid of the Wu family that governs the Guangling Prefecture. At this thought, Lu Qinghu's apprehension disappeared, and his expression changed to a smile. In the past, Donghuang had shocked Lu Qinghu so much that Lu Qinghu now had an almost blind trust in Donghuang. Following that, Lu Qinghu quietly left Donghuang's room and carefully closed the door. Just as Lu Qinghu was about to leave the Magnolia Guild, he saw Fu walking towards him. There was another person by Fu's side. It was a strange and cold face. This was a young man dressed in black and wearing a bamboo hat. His expression was cold and stern, and he exuded an icy aura that kept people at arm's length. Chief Lu. Seeing Lu Qinghu, Fu greeted him with a smile. Fu, this is? Even though Fu was only a servant of Donghuang, Lu Qinghu was still very polite to him, not daring to slight him. Previously, the first young master of the Ma family, Ma Jin, had been crippled by Donghuang because he had kicked Fu. This is freezing wind, Brother Leng. Fu replied to Lu Qinghu as he introduced him to the young man in black. Brother Leng, this is Chief Lu of the preeminent Lu family. The young man in black casually glanced at Lu Qinghu, nodded slightly and looked away. This young man in black was the former second-in-command of Green Wolf Bastion, Freezing Wind. In the first month of the 1228 year of the Ziyun era, Freezing Wind had gone out on Zhou Donghuang's orders. He had been gone for more than 2 months and had only returned the previous day. However, upon returning to Qingshan town, he found out that his young master had gone to the prefecture capital. So Freezing Wind rode his Fergana horse to the prefecture capital. Back in Qingshan town, Freezing Wind knew that his young master's name had spread throughout the entire Yunfeng prefecture. Now, even the governor of Yunfeng prefecture had to show his young master some respect. Freezing Wind's return startled Zhou Donghuang, who had just immersed himself in his practice. Young master. In the room, Freezing Wind bowed to Zhou Donghuang, and his originally cold face broke into a smile. How did it go? Zhou Donghuang asked Freezing Wind. 2 months ago, he had sent Freezing Wind out to find some strong-willed orphans and select the best of the best to groom them into martial adepts. For this, he had taught Freezing Wind the acupuncture technique he had used on Freezing Wind previously, the godly needle of tendon changing, marrow cleansing. The godly needle of tendon changing, marrow cleansing was something that Zhou Donghuang had accidentally obtained in his previous life on Earth. As long as the target could withstand the extreme pain during the acupuncture process, they would be able to activate the maximum strength of their muscles. Young master, I found a total of more than 300 orphans, and after knowing the risks of the godly needle of tendon changing, marrow cleansing, there were a total of 282 who volunteered. In the end, only 3 managed to withstand it and successfully activate the maximum strength of their muscles. At this point, Freezing Wind paused as if he had something to say. Speak. Seeing that Freezing Wind wanted to say something, Zhou Donghuang spoke calmly. Young master. Freezing Wind knelt on the ground with a thud. According to your request, the rest of the people I found were all above 12 years old. However, there was a little girl who was only 9 years old. And it was this 9-year-old girl who withstood the pain that more than 200 youths could not withstand, and activated the maximum strength of her muscles. Freezing Wind said. Do you think my words are inconsequential? Zhou Donghuang's gaze turned cold, and his voice also turned icy in an instant, chilling to the bone. A 9-year-old girl rashly activated the maximum strength of her muscles. Her life has been ruined by you. Initially, when Zhou Donghuang had asked Freezing Wind to find someone, he had only 2 requirements. She had to be a willing orphan. She had to be above 12 years old. Before the age of 12, the body had not even started to develop. If she rashly activated the maximum strength of her muscles, the body would not be able to continue developing, and she would only be able to maintain that size for the rest of her life until she died of old age. For that kind of person, if they wanted to have an adult body, they could only wait until they reached the primordial soul stage. Then, the primordial soul would leave the body and give up the body of an adult. Young master. Freezing Wind smiled bitterly. I dare not disobey your orders, but that girl is different. At that time, I took the other 2 orphans with her, but she insisted on coming with me, saying that if I did not take her with me, she would die in front of me. Because of this, she ran headfirst into a brick wall, and if I had not intervened in time, she would have been dead. Seeing that she was not even afraid of death, I told her the consequences, and she said that she wanted revenge, even if she had to maintain her 9-year-old body for the rest of her life. Later, the 2 orphans with her could not withstand the extreme pain of the godly needle of tendon changing, marrow cleansing, but she withstood it. Freezing Wind paused before continuing. Young master, I taught her the 1,000-star sword technique and gave her a qi gathering elixir that increased her sensitivity to qi by 6 times. In just 2 months, she has already attained level 2 of qi gathering. Now, although her maximum strength is only 5 or 600 jin, based on the technique she has mastered, her ability is no weaker than that of an ordinary level 3 adept. Freezing Wind said. Different people received different amounts of strength when they activated the maximum strength in their bodies. Freezing Wind was a grown man with a strong body, and when he activated the maximum strength in his body, he received an increase of more than 1,000 jin of strength. But for a 9-year-old girl, even if she activated the maximum strength in her body, the increase in strength would be very limited. Not only can she withstand the godly needle of tendon changing, marrow cleansing, but she has attained level 2 of qi gathering in just 2 months? Zhou Donghuang's eyes narrowed. It looks like she is not only strong-willed, but also very talented in martial arts. Yesterday the 4 of us reached Qingshan town together. Now I am the first to rush back on my Fergana horse. They do not have Fergana horses, so they will only arrive in 2 or 3 days. As he spoke, Freezing Wind took out a brocade box and handed it to Zhou Donghuang. Young master, this is a 1,000-year red fruit that I obtained by chance on this trip. 1,000-year red fruit. Chapter 60. The vermilion fruit was a rare treasure that could increase the level of practice of adepts. It was extremely rare and could only be found by chance. The vermilion fruit was divided into 100-year vermilion fruit, 1,000-year vermilion fruit and 10,000-year vermilion fruit. For anyone below level 3 of Qi gathering, a 100-year vermilion fruit could increase their level of practice by 1 level in a few days. Even an ordinary person who did not practice could attain level 1 of Qi gathering in a few days after consuming a 100-year vermilion fruit. For anyone below level 6 of Qi gathering, a 1,000-year vermilion fruit could increase their level of practice by at least 1 level in a few days, and those with lower levels could even increase their level of practice by more than 2 levels. For anyone below level 9 of Qi gathering, a 10,000-year vermilion fruit could increase their level of practice by at least 1 level in a few days, and those with lower levels could even increase their level of practice by more than 4 levels. In the history of the country of Yunyang, a 10,000-year vermilion fruit had never appeared, and 1,000-year vermilion fruits had only appeared a few times. But the 100-year vermilion fruit was more common, and every time it appeared, it would cause a fight for it, even causing a bloodbath. It really is a 1,000-year vermilion fruit. Zhou Donghuang opened the brocade box that Freezing Wind had passed to him and saw a vermilion fruit, about the size of a baby's fist, giving off a refreshing aroma. In his previous life, when he had stood at the pinnacle of the universe, even a 10,000-year vermilion fruit would have been no different from an ordinary apple on earth to him, much less a 1,000-year vermilion fruit. But now, this 1,000-year vermilion fruit caused a slight ripple in his originally calm heart. You must have attained level 3 of Qi gathering by now? Zhou Donghuang asked Freezing Wind. Freezing Wind nodded. Thanks to the 1,000-star sword technique and the Qi gathering elixir that young master taught me, I attained level 3 of Qi gathering 6 days ago. Since you recognize this 1,000-year vermilion fruit, it means that you know what it is used for. If you consume it, your level of practice will immediately reach level 4 of Qi gathering, or even close to level 5 of Qi gathering. Zhou Donghuang looked deeply at Freezing Wind and said, actually, you can consume it privately to increase your level of practice. Zhou Donghuang knew very well how tempting the 1,000-year fruit was. Even if Freezing Wind did not consume the 1,000-year red fruit himself, he could give it to the Chu royal family, or even the imperial court of Yunyang country, and the Chu royal family and the imperial court of Yunyang country would not mistreat Freezing Wind. Young master must be joking. Freezing Wind shook his head, his eyes filled with determination. You've given Freezing Wind a new lease on life. Freezing Wind has no way to repay you. This 1,000-year red fruit is just a small token of my appreciation. It's rare for you to be so considerate. Zhou Donghuang nodded. Fortunately, you did not consume the 1,000-year fruit. Consuming it directly can only help one person increase their level of practice. If I use it as the main ingredient and combine it with some other medicinal ingredients to concoct a medicinal liquid, I will be able to concoct 10 bottles of medicinal liquid. Moreover, the medicinal effect of each bottle will not be any weaker than the medicinal effect of the medicinal liquid itself. Zhou Donghuang said. Freezing Wind was stunned by Zhou Donghuang's words. Didn't that mean that in the hands of his young master, a 1,000-year vermilion fruit was equivalent to 10,000-year vermilion fruits? When I'm done concocting the medicinal liquid, I'll give you a bottle. Zhou Donghuang said again. Young master, you should keep the medicinal liquid for yourself. This way your level of practice will definitely increase greatly. Freezing Wind said. Zhou Donghuang shook his head. Concocting a medicinal liquid with the 1,000-year red fruit as the main ingredient will only be effective the first time. This is because after the first use, the body will develop a resistance to the medicine, and a second or even multiple uses will not be of any help to practice. As Freezing Wind left, Zhou Donghuang wrote a list for him to pass to Granny Lien. The medicinal ingredients on the list were needed to concoct the medicinal liquid with the 1,000-year red fruit. They were not rare ingredients, and they could be easily gathered in the capital of Yunfeng Prefecture. That night, Granny Lien delivered the ingredients to Zhou Donghuang. Within an hour, Zhou Donghuang had concocted 10 bottles of medicinal liquid. With this medicinal liquid, I will definitely attain level 5 of Qi gathering within 3 days. After concocting the medicinal liquid, Zhou Donghuang called Fu over and gave him 5 bottles of medicinal liquid. Fu, of these 5 bottles of medicinal liquid, take 1 for yourself, and give the remaining 4 to my mother, Granny Lien, Freezing Wind, and Lu Qinghu. Young master, what medicinal liquid is this? Fu asked curiously. Aren't you about to attain level 2 of Qi gathering? Take this medicinal liquid and absorb all of its effects, and you will be able to attain level 3 of qi gathering immediately. Zhou Donghuang smiled. Fu naturally trusted Zhou Donghuang's words unconditionally, and because of this, he was stunned for a moment before recovering his wits, his face filled with joy. Thank you, young master. Fu knelt down and kowtowed in thanks before turning to leave. Of the 10 bottles of medicinal liquid, Zhou Donghuang had given Fu 5 bottles, and there were still 5 left. He consumed 1 bottle and began practicing. Based on Zhou Donghuang's 1,000 years of practice, he knew very well how to absorb the medicinal liquid as quickly as possible. Therefore, in just 2 days and 2 nights, he had completely absorbed the medicinal liquid and successfully attained level 5 of qi gathering. Moreover, it was not as simple as just attaining level 5 of qi gathering. With my current level of practice, with the help of the qi gathering elixir that increases the sensitivity to qi by 7 times, I will be able to attain level 6 of qi gathering in 3 months at most. I never thought that freezing wind would be so lucky to even obtain a 1,000-year red fruit. This is a pleasant surprise. After attaining level 5 of qi gathering, Zhou Donghuang did not continue practicing and walked out of his room. Ever since the opening of the Magnolia Guild, he had rarely stepped out of his room. Usually he ate and drank in his room, and apart from that he slept and practiced. I don't think I've had the chance to stroll around the capital city of Yunfeng Prefecture. With this thought, Zhou Donghuang walked towards the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild, preparing to go out for a walk. As he passed by the living room, Zhou Donghuang heard a familiar voice speaking to his mother, Lin Lan. Sister Lan, I'm so envious of you for having such a good son. He's only 17, but he's already a level 5 adept. Unlike this daughter of mine who is only a year younger than Zhou Donghuang, but has not even attained level 1 of qi gathering. Hearing this, Zhou Donghuang guessed who the speaker was. It was obviously the guild master of the Qingyun Guild in Ningping Town, Li Yun, who had been a good friend of his mother for many years. And Li Yun was also Li Rui's mother. Compared to Li Rui, he had a much better impression of Li Yun. Sister Yun, you flatter me? I haven't seen Xiao Rui for a few years. She's really changed a lot and she's getting more and more beautiful. Lin Lan's voice followed. Aunt Lan, you're still as beautiful as ever. Hearing Li Rui's voice, Zhou Donghuang could not help but smile mockingly. He had never thought that Li Rui would have the cheek to follow her mother to visit his mother. Mother. Now Zhou Donghuang was in no hurry to leave, and he strode directly into the living room. Aunt Yun. Standing beside Lin Lan, Zhou Donghuang smiled at Li Yun, who was standing with Li Rui. Donghuang, you're here at the right time. It's rare for your Aunt Yun to come to the prefecture capital. Let's have lunch with your Aunt Yun and sister Xiao Rui this afternoon. Lin Lan looked at Zhou Donghuang dotingly and smiled as she said this. All right. Zhou Donghuang nodded. Donghuang, Aunt Yun really did not expect that you could attain level 5 of qi gathering at the age of 17. Even in the entire younger generation of the country of Yunyang, I'm afraid no one can compare to you. Li Yun smiled brightly as she praised him. As she spoke, Li Yun glanced at Li Rui beside her. Why are you just standing there without greeting us? As soon as Li Yun finished speaking, Li Rui looked at Zhou Donghuang, blushing, and said bashfully, Big brother Donghuang. You flatter me. Zhou Donghuang replied casually, no longer as enthusiastic as he had been with Li Yun. Noticing Zhou Donghuang's indifference to Li Rui, Lin Lan frowned slightly. Donghuang, why are you speaking to your sister Xiao Rui like that? Mother, she doesn't like me and I can't possibly stick my face to her cold bottom, can I? Zhou Donghuang shook his head lightly. What's going on? At this time, Lin Lan also vaguely realized that something unpleasant must have happened between her son and Li Rui. Otherwise, based on her understanding of her son, he would not have been so rude. Aunt Lan, don't blame Big Brother Donghuang, it's all Xiao Rui's fault. Xiao Rui met Big Brother Donghuang earlier and angered him. Li Rui said with tears in her eyes, looking very pitiful. Just as Lin Lan's heart softened at Li Rui's appearance, Zhou Donghuang looked at Li Rui and smiled lightly. Li Rui, you and Aunt Yun must have set off from Ningping Town together and just arrived at the prefecture capital. You haven't returned to the Li family yet, right? Li Rui started, not knowing why Zhou Donghuang was saying this. She and her mother had indeed just arrived at the prefecture capital. Some time ago, after finding out that Lin Lan's Magnolia Guild had reopened in the prefecture capital, she had returned to Ningping Town and called her mother, Li Yun, to come to the prefecture capital with the excuse of visiting Lin Lan in order to get close to Zhou Donghuang and mend their relationship. In her opinion, with her beauty, as long as she was a little gentler, Zhou Donghuang would definitely be at her feet. You probably don't know, 2 days ago that first mistress of the Li family returned? Zhou Donghuang looked deeply at Li Rue and said unhurriedly, returning with her was the first young master of the Wu family, the governor's household of the intermediate prefecture Guangling Prefecture, Wunanshuan. Tiske. If she knew that you, a collateral descendant of the Li family, were actually hanging out with me, the person who killed her brother, she would probably expel you from the Li family. As he spoke, Zhou Donghuang chuckled. His words caused Li Rue's expression to change drastically. Even Li Yun, who was standing beside Li Rue, had a complete change of expression. Just as Li Rue and Li Yun's expressions changed, Granny Lian's voice came from outside the hall. Chapter 61. Morning of March 27, 1228 of the Ziyun era. A carriage pulled by 3 Fergana horses was parked at the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild. On each side of the carriage stood a middle-aged man riding a Fergana horse. In front of the carriage stood another Fergana horse at the bottom of the steps leading to the main entrance of the guild. On this Fergana horse sat a handsome middle-aged man of medium build. He looked in the direction of the main entrance of the guild, his eyes filled with a cold, bloodthirsty hatred. The 6 Fergana horses looked majestic and insufferably arrogant. Because of this, when the 6 Fergana horses arrived, they attracted many onlookers. That carriage looks like it belongs to the son-in-law of the Li family, the first young master of the Wu family of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture. The middle-aged man at the front is the chief of the Li family, Li Jingyu. Looks like the Li family is going to settle the score with Zhou Donghuang of the Magnolia Guild today. After all, the second young master of the Li family, Li Pingyun, died at Zhou Donghuang's hands. In the past, the Li family did not have the ability to take revenge and could only endure. Now that first young mistress of the Li family and the junior governor of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture have returned, the Li family will definitely not give up on this opportunity. 2 days ago, when I heard that the junior governor of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture had come, I knew that the Li family would definitely make trouble for Zhou Donghuang. It was only a matter of time. As time passed, the crowd grew, and the main road leading to the Magnolia Guild was completely packed. At the same time, the various preeminent families in the capital city of Yunfeng Prefecture, including the governor's household and the Zhao family, were also paying attention to the situation at the Magnolia Guild. They were all curious. Could Zhou Donghuang break out of this trap? Zhou Donghuang is out. Very quickly, the crowd of onlookers saw a handsome young man in white with an extraordinary aura walk out slowly with his hands behind his back from behind the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild. Behind the young man, 2 people walked out. It was the guild master of the Magnolia Guild, Lin Lan, and her old servant, Granny Lian. Young Master Donghuang. Just as Zhou Donghuang came out, the second master of the Lu family, Lu Bao, and a few elders of the Lu family behind him, bowed to Zhou Donghuang. Zhou Donghuang nodded slightly and walked to the front of the steps. His expression was calm as he looked at the middle-aged man riding a Fergana horse. Li Jingyu? Zhou Donghuang. Seeing Zhou Donghuang, the enemy who had killed his son, Li Jingyu, the patriarch of the Li family, could no longer control his emotions. Besides the rising murderous intent in his eyes, his handsome face had also become distorted. You killed my son Li Pingyun. Today my Li family will make you pay with your life. Li Jingyu's voice was bone-chilling, causing many of the onlookers to feel their hairs stand on end. With just your Li family? Zhou Donghuang shook his head and smiled disdainfully. His gaze fell on the carriage not far away. Or should I say, just based on the helpers that your Li family has found, you think that your Li family can defeat me? That's right. Our Li family's son-in-law, the young governor of Guangling Prefecture, Wu Nanshuan, Li Jingyu said proudly. Although he was puzzled to see that Zhou Donghuang had not panicked or lost his composure, he thought that Zhou Donghuang was putting on an act and bluffing. So what if Zhou Donghuang was a level 5 adept? Could he possibly challenge the Wu family of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture? The Wu family was a grand family with many level 6 adepts. Moreover, in his opinion, the 2 level 5 adepts by his son-in-law's side were enough to take down Zhou Donghuang easily. Looks like this son-in-law of yours has given you a lot of courage. You actually dare to challenge me, Zhou Donghuang. Zhou Donghuang smiled slightly. Zhou Donghuang. Just as Zhou Donghuang finished speaking, a shrill and angry voice sounded from within the carriage. Following that, a rather pretty girl dressed in luxurious clothes lifted the curtain of the carriage and walked out. It was the first young lady of the Li family, Li Kaiyun. Seeing this, the coachman hurriedly jumped off the carriage and sprawled on the ground, using his back as a ladder for Li Kaiyun. Li Kaiyun stepped on the coachman's back and stared coldly at Zhou Donghuang. Today with Brother Sun here you will definitely die. Zhou Donghuang ignored her and looked at the person who had stepped out of the carriage behind Li Kaiyun. He said coldly, "Are you the first young master of the Wu family of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture? Today if you don't step out of the carriage you and I will be fine. But if you dare step out of the carriage and meddle in this matter, don't even think of leaving in one piece." Zhou Donghuang directly threatened the person who was about to step out of the carriage. It was the first young master of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture, Wu Nanshuan. As soon as Zhou Donghuang said this, there was a dead silence. Zhou Donghuang is threatening the junior governor of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture? My God! The governor's household of Guangling Prefecture, the Wu family, is a grand family with many level 6 adepts. Does Zhou Donghuang think that the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture, the Wu family, has the same power as the governor's household of Yunfeng Prefecture, the Zhao family? Newborn calves are really not afraid of tigers. If he dares to threaten the first young master of the Wu family like this, he will only die faster. The crowd of onlookers whispered among themselves and shook their heads, thinking that Zhou Donghuang was going to be in big trouble. In their eyes, Zhou Donghuang was a level 5 adept of qi gathering, and even the governor's household of Yunfeng Prefecture, the Zhao family, feared him. But this time, it was someone from the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture, and it was the first young master of the Wu family, Wu Nanshuan. The governor's household of Yunfeng Prefecture, the Zhao family, was a preeminent family. But the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture, the Wu family, was a grand family with many level 6 adepts and no less than 20 level 5 adepts. A mere level 5 adept was not even worth mentioning in front of the grand Wu family. How dare you! The middle-aged men on the Fergana horses on both sides of the carriage glared at Zhou Donghuang, their eyes flashing with murderous intent. Interesting. At the same time, an angry laugh came from within the carriage. The person who had stopped instinctively because of Zhou Donghuang's words stepped out of the carriage. It was a young man dressed in a brocade robe. He was handsome and had an air of innate arrogance about him. The moment he appeared, he became the center of attention. He is the first young master of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture, Wu Nanshuan? No wonder he is the first young master of a grand family. His aura is so strong that the young masters of the preeminent families can't compare. After Wu Nanshuan stepped out of the carriage, the two middle-aged men on the Fergana horses on both sides of the carriage also dismounted and followed behind Wu Nanshuan. Brother Sun, this Zhou Donghuang looks like he doesn't care about you and the Wu family at all. In my opinion, we can't let him die so easily today. Let's torture him first before killing him. Li Kaiyun held Wu Nanshuan's hand as she spoke coquettishly. As she spoke, she looked at Zhou Donghuang, her eyes filled with murderous intent. However, Wu Nanshuan did not respond to her. He took a few steps forward and looked at Zhou Donghuang calmly as he said, "Zhou Donghuang, at the age of 17, you are a level 5 adept of qi gathering. I have to say your martial talent is not bad. However, a genius like you will only live to this day." As he spoke, there was a hint of jealousy in the depths of Wu Nanshuan's eyes, besides the murderous intent. A kid from a small town had such a high talent in martial arts and was even stronger than him. Wasn't this setting off his incompetence as the young master of a wealthy family? I gave you a chance. Zhou Donghuang glanced at Wu Nanshuan. However, since you don't cherish it, then don't blame me. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhou Donghuang moved without any warning. With a strange footwork, his body shot out like a cannonball towards the patriarch of the Li family, Li Jingyu, who was closest to him. Bang! Zhou Donghuang's speed was extremely fast. He flew in front of Li Jingyu and landed a palm on his head. Only then did Li Jingyu react. His eyes narrowed and his expression changed. However, this was the last expression Li Jingyu had in his life. With just one palm, Zhou Donghuang had killed Li Jingyu on his horse. Li Jingyu's body fell off the horse and lay limp on the ground, completely lifeless. Li Jingyu, the patriarch of the preeminent Li family of Yunfeng Prefecture, a level 4 adept of qi gathering, had been killed in the blink of an eye. From start to finish, he had not even had a chance to attack. When this scene appeared before the eyes of the spectators, they were once again dumbstruck. This Zhou Donghuang is so powerful. Too powerful. He killed a level 4 adept as easily as killing a dog. Even among the level 5 adepts of qi gathering, his ability would be considered strong, right? I wonder if the men brought by the first young master of the Wu family of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture are a match for him. The two men accompanying the first young master of the Wu family seemed to be level 5 adepts. 2 against 1, how could they not defeat Zhou Donghuang? Many people's gazes fell on the two middle-aged men behind Wu Nanxuan. In an instant they realized, after witnessing Zhou Donghuang kill Li Jingyu, the patriarch of the Li family, with one palm, the indifferent expressions on these two middle-aged men's faces turned serious. "Father!" Li Kaiyun cried out as she recovered from her shock. She looked at Zhou Donghuang coldly as if she could not wait to tear Zhou Donghuang into pieces. "Brother Sun, avenge my father. Avenge my father," Li Kaiyun said anxiously to Wu Nanxuan. She did not want to see Zhou Donghuang alive now. Seeing that Zhou Donghuang had killed his father-in-law right in front of him, Wu Nanxuan felt that his dignity had been completely trampled on, and his face was so dark that it seemed as if it could drip water. Chapter 62. As soon as Wu Nanxuan finished speaking, the two middle-aged men behind him froze and answered in unison, "Yes, young master." At the same time they all moved out at the same time. Whoosh, whoosh. As level 5 adepts of the Grand Wu family, both of them had practiced the lesser-grade swiftness technique of the Wu family, and when they moved their bodies were as light as a feather, moving like a shadow. Clang, clang. Halfway to their destination, they drew their swords from the scabbards at their waists at almost the same time and charged at Zhou Donghuang, their sharp blades gleaming coldly. In the country of Yunyang, lesser-grade offensive techniques differed from each other. For example, saber skills, sword skills, and other martial skills that relied on weapons were much more valuable than fist skills and palm skills. The latter could be obtained from the preeminent families through the royal household. However, the former could only be obtained from the grand families through the royal household. Many of the preeminent families in Yunfeng Prefecture, including the governor's household and the Zhao family, did not have any offensive techniques that relied on weapons. Of course, when it came to offensive martial arts of the same level, the might of a martial art that relied on a weapon would naturally be much stronger than other offensive martial arts. Otherwise, why would some martial adepts spend so much effort to get their hands on a suitable weapon? Whoosh! Faced with the two menacing level 5 adepts, Zhou Donghuang used the star-stepping footwork and met them calmly. Whoosh! Whoosh! Zhou Donghuang's hands formed claws and the third-grade technique, piercing rock finger, which he had not used for a long time, appeared again. His 10 curved fingers were as firm as a rock, and they directly grabbed the blades of the two men. No matter how hard they tried, they could not pull their swords out of Zhou Donghuang's hands. Early that morning Zhou Donghuang's level of practice had already reached level 5 of Qi gathering, and with just his Qi he could exert the strength of 5 bulls. Coupled with his extreme muscular strength, he could even defeat a level 6 adept in terms of pure strength. With his current strength, using a third-grade technique, he could easily defeat any level 5 adept in the country of Yunyang. "Let go." As Zhou Donghuang spoke calmly, his arms shook violently, causing the webbing between their thumb and forefinger to crack. Fresh blood flowed and he forcefully snatched the knives from their hands. Whoosh! Holding a knife in each hand, Zhou Donghuang's footsteps quickened as he dashed through the gap between the two of them. It was as if he had transformed into a bolt of lightning as he passed by the two of them. Puchi! Puchi! 2 soft sounds rang out. It was the blades of the 2 swords in Zhou Donghuang's hands, sweeping across the throats of the 2 men, bringing with it 2 gushes of hot blood that gushed out like a fountain. Ah, ah, cough, cough, cough. Before the 2 middle-aged men died, they stretched out their hands and covered their throats with fear on their faces, trying to stop the bleeding. However, it was useless. After a while, they fell into a pool of blood with a loud bang. Clang, clang. 2 bloodied sabers fell to the ground, and the crisp sound startled the onlookers. Everything had happened in the blink of an eye, so fast that the crowd could not keep up with the speed of Zhou Donghuang's attack. When they were startled awake, they saw the 2 men from the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture lying in a pool of blood, completely lifeless. And Zhou Donghuang himself was already standing not far from Wu Nanxuan and Li Kaiyun. Zhou Donghuang stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his gaze calm. His white robe fluttered in the wind, not tainted by a single drop of blood. His robe was as white as snow, untainted by dust. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, no one would have believed that it was Zhou Donghuang who had attacked. Looking at Zhou Donghuang now, it looked as if he had just strolled past them, not killed them all the way. Those 2, are they really level 5 adepts? If they are really level 5 adepts, isn't this Zhou Donghuang a little too strong? The onlookers once again looked at Zhou Donghuang in awe. Just a moment ago, they had thought that Zhou Donghuang was not a match for the 2 men, but in the blink of an eye, Zhou Donghuang had killed them both. It's a pity, you did not cherish the chance I gave you. Zhou Donghuang looked at Wu Nanxuan and smiled slightly. Now, when Wu Nanxuan looked at Zhou Donghuang again, his gaze was filled with fear as if he had seen a ghost. No one present knew better than him the level of ability of the two middle-aged men beside him. Even among the more than 20 level 5 adepts of the Wu family, those two men would rank in the middle of the pack. But even so, they had been killed by Zhou Donghuang even when they had joined forces. Moreover, they had been killed in an instant. This Zhou Donghuang, even if he is not a level 6 adept, he is at least one of the best among the level 5 adepts. Wu Nanxuan's heart trembled. Was this really a 17-year-old youth? Not just in the country of Yunyang, even in the high and mighty valley of the medicine masters, which was superior to the country of Yunyang, there was probably no such monster. Zhou Donghuang, I am the first young master of the Wu family of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture. If you dare touch me, the Wu family will not let you off. Wu Nanxuan took a deep breath and brought up the grand Wu family behind him, hoping to threaten Zhou Donghuang so that he would not dare to touch him. If I were afraid of the Wu family, do you think I would have killed someone from the Wu family just now? Zhou Donghuang smiled brilliantly. Wu Nanxuan's expression changed when he heard this, and he looked at Li Kaiyun who was staring blankly at Zhou Donghuang. It's all because of this B*T that I'm in such a predicament. Wu Nanxuan's gaze turned cold, and he struck out with lightning speed, breaking Li Kaiyun's neck with a loud crack. As Li Kaiyun's body fell to the ground, Wu Nanxuan looked at Zhou Donghuang again, no longer as arrogant as before, and his expression was one of humility. Young Master Donghuang, this was all caused by this woman? I, Wu Nanxuan, have no intention of becoming enemies with you. Now, Wu Nanxuan only hoped that Li Kaiyun's death could be exchanged for his safety. The situation was not in his favor. Although he had the grand Wu family behind him, the Wu family was far away in Guangling Prefecture, and distant water could not put out a nearby fire. Now he could only save himself. As long as he survived, when he returned to the Wu family, he could definitely bring a level 6 elder of the Qi gathering with him to make a comeback. It's too late. Seeing Wu Nanxuan kill his own woman so easily, a look of disgust flashed across Zhou Donghuang's eyes, and in a flash, he appeared directly in front of Wu Nanxuan and struck his chest with his palm. Zhou Donghuang's speed was too fast, and Wu Nanxuan did not react until the palm landed, and his expression changed. In the blink of an eye, Wu Nanxuan did not feel any pain, and he could not help but be stunned. He realized that Zhou Donghuang's palm did not contain much force, and it was more like a light touch on his chest. Meridian Destruction Palm. Just as Wu Nanxuan was feeling puzzled, Zhou Donghuang's palm that had landed on Wu Nanxuan's chest suddenly trembled, and a strange force swept out, directly shattering all the meridians in Wu Nanxuan's body. Meridian Destruction Palm, a lesser-grade technique, had no practical use against an enemy, but it could destroy the opponent's meridians with one strike when one had the upper hand. You destroyed my meridians? Wu Nanxuan realized immediately that the meridians in his body had been destroyed, and his expression changed dramatically. When he looked at Zhou Donghuang again, his eyes were bloodshot, and he collapsed to the ground in a fit of rage and fainted. On the planet of Ziyun, where the strong were revered, having one's meridians destroyed was worse than death for an adept. After Wu Nanxuan collapsed to the ground and fainted, the surroundings were deathly silent. Not only the crowd of onlookers, but even Lu Bao and the other members of the Lu family were now looking fearfully at the youth in white standing not far away. The youth's attack was fast, accurate, and ruthless, as if he did not care about the consequences. Young Master Donghuang's ability? Could it be that he has already attained level 6 of Qi gathering? But even so, he shouldn't be so unafraid of the Wu family of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture, right? The Wu family is a grand family with many level 6 adepts. Lu Bao frowned as he recalled what his elder brother Lu Qinghu had said to him, but then he seemed to recall something and his frown eased. Unless he has enough ability to suppress the level 6 adepts of the Wu family. At this thought, Lu Bao could not help but recall the first time he had met Zhou Donghuang. It was in the Lu family household, and Zhou Donghuang had single-handedly defeated the 7 level 3 adepts of the 3 elite lesser families with his spear, like a god descending to the mortal world. At this thought, Lu Bao sucked in a breath of cold air, and when he looked at the youth in white again, there was only respect in his eyes. Granny Lien, find a woodshed in the Chamber of Commerce to settle them down. If they dare to run, kill them immediately. Zhou Donghuang said to Granny Lian as he glanced at the unconscious Wu Nanxuan and then at the two carriage drivers, who had long since turned pale with fear. Yes, young master. Now Granny Lian obeyed Zhou Donghuang's orders and hurriedly responded. Although Lin Lan felt that it was inappropriate to imprison the members of the Grand Wu family, since it was her son Zhou Donghuang's request, she did not say anything. Now she had unconditional trust in her son, and even if her son poked a hole in the sky she would not say anything, because she knew that her son knew what he was doing. Mother, I'm going out for a walk. I've been in the prefecture capital for so long, but I still haven't had a good look around the city. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Zhou Donghuang acted as if nothing had happened, and after saying goodbye to Lin Lan with a smile, he walked out. Although there were many onlookers now that Zhou Donghuang was about to leave, they hurriedly parted to make a path for him. Only when Zhou Donghuang's figure disappeared at the end of the road did the crowd at the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild come to their senses. On the 27th of March 1228 of the Ziyun era, at the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild, Zhou Donghuang had killed Li Jingyu, chief of the preeminent Li family, and then killed 2 level 5 adepts of the Wu family governor's household of Guangling Prefecture, as well as crippling the meridians of the first young master of the Wu family, Wu Nanxuan. Chapter 63. The governor's household, the Zhao family household. Big brother, that Zhou Donghuang killed 2 level 5 adepts from the Wu family of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture. The first young master of the Wu family, Wu Nanxuan, also had his meridians destroyed and is now a martial invalid. When Zhao San had received the news from the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild, he had immediately gone to look for his big brother, the governor of Yunfeng Prefecture and chief of the Zhao family, Zhao Lishang. I never thought that even Wu Yunfeng and Wu Hailang would die at Zhou Donghuang's hands. Both of them were no weaker than me, Zhao Lishang said gravely. Zhao Lishang's expression was solemn. He then looked at Zhao San and asked, how long did he take to kill Wu Yunfeng and his companion? Whether it was Wu Yunfeng or Wu Hailang, Zhao Lishang had interacted with them before and knew how powerful they were. Both of them were no weaker than he was. One move. Zhao San smiled bitterly. Hearing this, Zhao Lishang was instantly dumbfounded. After a long while, he came back to his senses and said with a bitter smile, I originally thought that his strength was at most equal to mine. Now it seems that I was overthinking it. Even if he wanted to kill me, it would only take one move. Big brother, I don't understand. Not only did he kill the 2 adepts from the Wu family, but he also crippled the first young master of the Wu family, Wu Nanxuan. Is he not afraid of the Wu family seeking revenge? Zhao San was puzzled. You've known him longer than I have. Do you think he would do something he is not confident of? Zhao Lishang asked. Zhao San hesitated for a moment. He thought about it and shook his head. No. Although he had not spent much time with the youth, the confidence that the youth exuded made him feel that he would be fearless even if the sky collapsed. Then there is only one possibility, he does not take the Wu family seriously. Zhao Lishang sighed with a complicated expression. He does not take the Wu family seriously? Zhao San was shocked. The Wu family was a grand family with many level 6 adepts. That Zhou Donghuang, if he did not even care about the Wu family, then how powerful was he? The Hong family household. That Zhou Donghuang is so daring? When the second master of the preeminent Hong family, Hong Kuan, received the news from outside, he was also stunned for a moment before he recovered. Zhou Donghuang's strength was beyond his imagination, and he was deeply surprised. However, he felt that Zhou Donghuang was even more daring. He had actually dared to kill a member of the Guangling governor's household, the Wu family, and even crippled the first young master of the Wu family, Wu Nanxuan. I didn't expect him to have such strength. Based on the power he has displayed today, even the governor of Yunfeng Prefecture, Zhao Lishang, is no match for him. However, even though he's strong, he's brainless. He even dared to cripple the first young master of the Grand Wu family, Wu Nanxuan. He's simply courting death. Wu Nanxuan was the next governor of the Guangling Prefecture, the Wu family. It was because of this that outsiders called him the junior governor. But now, his meridians had been destroyed in Yunfeng Prefecture and he was now a martial invalid. Zhou Donghuang had crippled the next governor of the Guangling Prefecture. One could imagine how furious the Wu family of the Guangling Prefecture would be when they heard the news. Looks like there's no need for Yunfei and Dandan to get the disciples of the Valley of the Medicine Masters to help. That kid is dead meat. Hong Kuan's eyes flashed as he muttered to himself. Some time ago, his elder brother, the chief of the Hong family, Hong Wei, had left the Hong family with Qin Dandan and left Yunfeng Prefecture for the Valley of the Medicine Masters. He had heard about Qin Dandan's background and the conflict between Qin Dandan and Zhou Donghuang, the Li family household. Today, Chief, First Mistress and Young Master will take revenge together. With the 2 level 5 adepts by Young Master's side, Zhou Donghuang of the Magnolia Guild will definitely die. When the Li family chief, Li Jingyu and the others had just left, everyone in the Li family felt the same way. After all, the man by First Mistress Li's side was the junior governor of the intermediate prefecture of Guangling Prefecture. Furthermore, the junior governor had 2 level 5 adepts who were no weaker than the governor of Yunfeng Prefecture, Zhao Lishang. However, the news that the Li family had received after waiting for a long time made them completely dumbfounded. The chief is dead? Killed by Zhou Donghuang with 1 blow? First Mistress is also dead? And First Mistress was killed by Young Master himself? The 2 level 5 adepts by Young Master's side were also killed by Zhou Donghuang with 1 blow? Even Young Master's meridians were destroyed by Zhou Donghuang? The Li family could never have imagined that their chief would not only fail to avenge the death of their second young master, Li Pingyun, but even die at Zhou Donghuang's hands. This was the source of their confidence. The 2 level 5 adepts of the Wu family, the governor of Guangling Prefecture, had also been killed by Zhou Donghuang. After Zhou Donghuang killed the chief, will he vent his anger on the Li family? If he were to vent his anger on our Li family, who in our family could be his match? Who will be able to stop him? Just as the group of Li family juniors were feeling insecure, Li Yun and Li Rui rushed back to the Li family household. That morning, when they found out that the chief of the Li family, Li Jingyu, had brought men to the Magnolia Guild to cause trouble, they had escaped through the back door of the guild. To prevent anyone from discovering that they had been to the Magnolia Guild, they had purposely taken a detour outside the prefecture capital and re-entered the prefecture capital from the other side before returning to the Li family household. However, when they returned to the Li family household, they were dumbfounded by the Li family's alarmist words. The high and mighty chief in their eyes had been killed by Zhou Donghuang with 1 blow? Furthermore, the Li family's backer, the junior governor of Guangling Prefecture, the first young master of the Grand Wu family, Wu Nanshuan, had not only killed First Mistress of the Li family with his own hands, but had also had his meridians destroyed by Zhou Donghuang? The 2 level 5 adepts of the Wu family, the governor of Guangling Prefecture, had also been killed by Zhou Donghuang? Donghuang is so strong? Li Yun was stunned into a daze. Li Rui was also shocked into a daze. After a while, she recovered and smiled coldly, taking pleasure in Zhou Donghuang's misfortune. That Zhou Donghuang has offended the governor of Guangling Prefecture, the Wu family, he's dead meat. The Wu family will never let him off. If I had known that he was so stupid as to dare offend the Grand Wu family, why would I, Li Rui, lower myself to him today? As she spoke, Li Rui's smile became even colder. In the large household of the preeminent Lu family, news of what had just happened at the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild was spreading everywhere. The noise even startled Lu Qinghu, who was concentrating on his cultivation in his room. Lu Qinghu could not help but go out and ask. But very quickly he turned back to his room. Young Master Donghuang killed 2 level 5 adepts of the governor of Guangling Prefecture, the Wu family, with 1 blow? And maimed the first young master of the Wu family, Wu Nanshuan? Shaking his head, Lu Qinghu did not think much of it and continued practicing. In his opinion, since young Master Donghuang dared to do this, he must be confident and not afraid of the Grand Wu family coming after him. The bottle of liquid that young Master Donghuang asked Fu to deliver 2 days ago, what kind of liquid was it? It's only been 2 days and the potency of the liquid has only been reduced by half, and I can almost try to break through to level 5 of Qi gathering. At first, Lu Qinghu had not thought much of the bottle of liquid that Fu had delivered 2 days ago. But after consuming the liquid and starting to practice, he realized that his level of practice had improved rapidly. In the short span of 2 days, he had improved as much as he had in the past 10 years of hard work. Feels like, if I use up the remaining potency of the liquid, I can even directly attain level 5 of Qi gathering. At this thought, Lu Qinghu tried hard to suppress his excitement and once again immersed himself in practice, ignoring the commotion outside. Besides the 4 preeminent families of Yunfeng Prefecture capital, the 2 lesser families, the Fang and Ma families, were also shocked by Zhou Donghuang's actions that day. They had never imagined that Zhou Donghuang would even dare to offend the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture and the Grand Wu family. Just as everyone in the prefecture capital was shocked by Zhou Donghuang's actions that day, Zhou Donghuang was leisurely strolling along the streets of the prefecture capital, weaving through the traffic. Unknowingly, it's been more than 3 months since I was reborn. Zhou Donghuang shook his head and sighed as he walked. In my previous life at this time on Earth, the seal in my body had just been released, and I had not even attained level 1 of Qi gathering. In more than 3 months, I have already attained level 5 of Qi gathering. In my previous life, it took me almost 20 years to attain level 5 of Qi gathering. On Earth during the Age of Doom, the spirit was thin, and Zhou Donghuang had spent a whole 50 years practicing from nothing to great consummation of Qi gathering. This was because he had traveled all over Earth and discovered some ancient ruins. After searching through them, he had had a fortuitous encounter. In 60 years he had successfully attained the Khanate stage. Then, in the next few decades with the help of Earth's technology, he had gone to planets near Earth with more abundant spirit to practice, and only after successfully attaining the primal core stage did he officially leave Earth. In order to travel through space physically, one had to be at least at the primal core stage. Otherwise, one would not be able to withstand the pressure of the magnetic field in space. In this life I will strive to attain the primal core stage within 10 years. Zhou Donghuang murmured to himself. If word of Zhou Donghuang's words were to spread, not just to Ziyun but to the entire universe, it would be enough to scare a bunch of people. After strolling for a while, Zhou Donghuang turned to leave. In 2 days I will head to the Chu royal city. Guangling Prefecture is on the way from Yunfeng Prefecture to the royal city, so I will follow Wu Nanshuan to the Wu family. Chapter 64. P.S. Zhou Donghuang's goal is to attain the primal core stage within 5 years and reach the stage where he can traverse the stars with his body alone. Just as he returned to the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild, Zhou Donghuang saw 3 large horses standing in front of the steps, hesitating. Surprisingly, a little girl was sitting on the leader's horse. Judging from her figure, she was at most 8 or 9 years old. Just by looking at her jade-like face, one would involuntarily feel a sense of tenderness towards her. On the backs of the 2 horses behind sat 2 youths who looked to be about 12 or 13 years old. One had long hair tied up behind his back and the other had short hair. "Big sister, are you sure you didn't read wrong? It says Magnolia Guild, that Master Freezing Wind mentioned before he left?" The short-haired youth asked the little girl. From his words, it was clear that he did not know how to read. A 12 or 13-year-old boy calling an 8 or 9-year-old girl, "big sister," sounded a little strange no matter how one listened to it. However, the short-haired boy did not show any reluctance. "Just because you don't know how to read doesn't mean I don't know." The little girl put her hands on her hips and glared at the short-haired youth before dismounting quickly. "Let's go. Let's go in and find our benefactor and Uncle Freezing Wind." "Yes, big sister." The 2 youths obediently answered and flew down from their horses. Although they were quite skilled with the little girl in front of them, their performance was slightly inferior. By this time Zhou Donghuang had already guessed the identities of the 3. They were the 3 orphans that Freezing Wind had selected under his orders to search for and select from the outside orphans with good potential. The 3 who had just dismounted saw Zhou Donghuang approaching and watched him walk up the steps of the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild. "Benefactor." Zhou Donghuang had just climbed the steps and was about to enter when he heard the young, moving and excited voice of the girl behind him, accompanied by the sound of someone kneeling on the ground. "Benefactor?" Seeing the girl kneeling behind Zhou Donghuang, the 2 youths looked at each other and quickly knelt behind the girl. "Why do you call me benefactor?" When he heard the girl's voice, Zhou Donghuang knew that she had recognized him. As he turned around he could not help but smile. What a clever girl. Zhou Donghuang looked at the delicate little girl before him and sighed inwardly. It was hard to imagine how a girl like her could withstand the torture of the godly needle of tendon changing and marrow cleansing. "Benefactor," Uncle Cold Wind said, "if you didn't ask him to come out and find us, we wouldn't be here today. So you are our benefactor." In front of Zhou Donghuang, the girl was no longer as casual as she had been with the 2 youths. Her expression was stern like a little adult. "How did you recognize me?" Zhou Donghuang smiled lightly. "Ever since I heard Uncle Freezing Wind mention you, my benefactor, I've been yearning for you. Uncle Freezing Wind couldn't stand my pestering, so he drew a portrait of you for me. Although it's not as good looking as you in person, the posture with your hands behind your back is exactly the same." As the girl spoke, she took out a folded piece of paper from her pocket. She gently and carefully unfolded it, and the portrait of a young man appeared. It was Zhou Donghuang. However, the outline of Zhou Donghuang's face in the portrait was slightly blurred, so it was not as good looking as the real person, but the posture with his hands behind his back was exactly the same as the real person. I didn't expect Freezing Wind to have such a trick up his sleeve. Zhou Donghuang raised his eyebrows and said to the three of them, "Get up and follow me in." "Yes, benefactor." The three of them stood up and followed Zhou Donghuang into the Magnolia Guild. "What's your name?" Zhou Donghuang asked with a smile as he walked side by side with the little girl. He looked at her lovingly and reached out to pat her head. "Benefactor, I'm Yun Lu." As the little girl introduced herself, she did not forget to introduce the two youths behind her. As for them, the one with short hair is called Zhou Han. The one with long hair is called Zhou Feng. Zhou Han? Zhou Feng? Zhou Donghuang was stunned. "Benefactor, they did not have official names. It was Senior Freezing Wind who gave them your surname, and their names were taken from Uncle Freezing Wind's," Yun Lu said. "No wonder it sounds so familiar." Zhou Donghuang nodded and brought the three of them to see Granny Lien so that she could arrange accommodation for them. The three of them had been carefully chosen by Freezing Wind from a group of orphans. Not only had they endured the torture of tendon changing and marrow cleansing divine needle, they had also passed Freezing Wind's test of loyalty. There would not be any problems with their loyalty. Moreover, not every orphan was like Qin Dandan. Most orphans would be grateful to someone who had helped them change their fate, and would follow them for life, never betraying them. After handing the three of them over to Granny Lien, Zhou Donghuang returned to his room to practice. He would leave Yunfeng Prefecture for the Chu Royal City when Fu came out of seclusion. Fu would need at least 2 to 3 days to completely absorb the medicine made from the 1,000-year red fruit. In the next few days, what surprised Zhou Donghuang was that his mother actually liked Yun Lu very much, and even came to him to say that she wanted to adopt Yun Lu as her daughter. Zhou Donghuang knew that his mother had always wanted a daughter. Originally, she had Qin Dandan, but after Qin Dandan's betrayal, the place in his mother's heart had become empty. "Xiaolu, you don't have to call me benefactor anymore, just call me big brother." Since Lin Lan wanted to adopt Yun Lu as her daughter, Zhou Donghuang was naturally happy to oblige. Moreover, after a few days together he had grown to like Yun Lu very much. Although she was only 9 years old, Yun Lu was very sensible. Even the details of her daily life showed that she had a kind heart, which Qin Dandan had never shown. Big brother. No matter how strong Yun Lu was usually, she was still a little girl, and after a few days together she had fallen in love with this warm family. Hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, she could not help but cry. "Why are you crying? Silly girl." Zhou Donghuang reached out to wipe the tears from Yun Lu's eyes, then patted her head and smiled dotingly. "Xiaolu, mother will take you shopping and buy you some nice clothes." Lin Lan had arrived, and seeing that Zhou Donghuang was there, she smiled and asked, "Donghuang, do you want to go shopping with us?" "Mother, you guys go ahead." Zhou Donghuang smiled. "I still have some things to tell Freezing Wind." He planned to leave Yunfeng Prefecture the next day and head to the Chu Royal City. Of course, he had not told Lin Lan about this yet. "Goodbye, big brother." Yun Lu bade Zhou Donghuang farewell before leaving with Lin Lan. After the two of them left, Zhou Donghuang asked Fu to call Freezing Wind over. "Young master, Xiaolu has already accepted my mother as her adoptive mother, so let her stay by my mother's side from now on. When you go out on errands, just bring Zhou Han and Zhou Feng along," Zhou Donghuang said. He had asked Freezing Wind to find orphans and select the best of them, so that Freezing Wind could lead them to create a force of his own. Creating such a force was not to help him, but to better protect his family, so that he could move forward without any worries. "Yes, young master," Freezing Wind replied respectfully. After the incident with the 1,000-year red fruit, he respected the youth in front of him as if he was a god. To use 1,000-year-old fruit as 10,000-year-old fruits, not just in the country of Yunyang, but even in the entire planet of Ziyun, there was probably no one who could do this. Now, after taking the elixir of the 1,000-year-old fruit, Freezing Wind had successfully attained level 4 of Qi Gathering, becoming a level 4 adept with the strength of 4 bulls. In the past, Freezing Wind would never have dreamed that he could achieve this in such a short period of time. "If I were still in Green Wolf Bastion, I would have just attained level 2 of Qi Gathering," Freezing Wind thought to himself. "Take these 2 bottles of elixir, see for yourself. If you can confirm that Zhou Han and Zhou Feng have potential, give them to them." With a wave of his hand, Zhou Donghuang tossed 2 bottles of liquid medicine made from the 1,000-year-old cinnabar fruit to Freezing Wind. Now Zhou Donghuang only had 2 bottles of elixir left. He planned to give one of them to Yun Lu before he left the next day. Early morning, April 1, 1228 of the Ziyun era. Lin Lan and Yun Lu stood side by side at the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild, looking longingly at the carriage drawn by the 3 Fergana horses disappearing at the end of the road. This child, he left this morning and only told me last night. Lin Lan shook her head and sighed bitterly. Children really can't be kept at home. Mother, big brother was afraid that if you knew too early, you would miss him even more. Yun Lu comforted her softly. Mother, big brother is leaving, but Xiao Lu will be with you. Don't be too sad. Silly girl, mother is not sad, your brother is doing well and mother is happy for him. Lin Lan smiled and patted Yun Lu's little head. Although she said that, her eyes could not hide the reluctance in her eyes. On the other side. In the carriage, Wu Nanshuan looked at Zhou Donghuang in disbelief. You really want to send me back to the Wu family? Otherwise, why would I spare your life? Zhou Donghuang glanced at Wu Nanshuan. For the rest of the journey, you'd better not disturb my practice. If you annoy me, I don't mind keeping you on the road forever. Hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, Wu Nanshuan hurriedly shut up, but in his heart he was thinking about how to torture Zhou Donghuang when they reached the Wu family. My meridians have been destroyed by him, and I've become a martial invalid. My life is completely ruined. When I get back to the Wu family, I can only tear him to pieces with my own hands to appease the hatred in my heart. As Zhou Donghuang closed his eyes to practice, Wu Nanshuan stared at Zhou Donghuang with a pair of eyes filled with hatred. The anger in his heart was boiling and he could not control it. This time Fu did not act as Zhou Donghuang's carriage driver. He sat beside Zhou Donghuang, leaning against the door of the carriage to practice. Chapter 65. In the western ridge of the Chu King, the Chu royal city was the center, surrounded by commanderies of all sizes, like stars surrounding the moon, surrounding the Chu royal city. The counties closest to the Chu royal city were the superior level counties, followed by the intermediate level counties, and the inferior level counties were the furthest from the Chu royal city. Within the western ridge of the Chu King, there were the most inferior level counties, numbering 26. Then came the intermediate level counties numbering 12, and the superior level counties, numbering only 5. Yunfeng County, as an inferior level county, was located at the edge of the western ridge of the Chu King. From Yunfeng County to the Chu royal city, one had to pass through an intermediate level county and a superior level county. The intermediate level county was Guangling County. Guangling County, as an intermediate level county, occupied a much larger area than Yunfeng County. From the edge of Guangling County to the capital of Guangling County, even if one rode a Fergana horse day and night, it would still take 7 days and 7 nights. From the capital of Yunfeng Prefecture to the point of leaving Yunfeng Prefecture, it would only take 3 days and 3 nights on Fergana horses to travel day and night. Because of this, from the capital of Yunfeng County to the capital of Guangling County, even if one rode a Fergana horse day and night, it would still take 10 days and 10 nights. However, although the Fergana horse was the king of horses, there were times when it was exhausted, and it was impossible for it not to rest. Therefore, even if one rode a Fergana horse including rest, it would still take at least half a month to reach the capital of Guangling County from the capital of Yunfeng County. With a Fergana horse pulling the carriage, it would take about 1.5 months. If 1 or 2 Fergana horses pulled the carriage, it would be faster to reach the destination. Young master, we have reached the capital. A voice came from outside the carriage, causing Wu Nanshuan's eyes to light up, and he could not hide the excitement on his face. The carriage pulled by 3 Fergana horses took a whole month to reach the capital of Guangling County from the capital of Yunfeng County. We're here? As the voice came in, Zhou Donghuang awoke from his practice. He opened the curtains of the carriage and saw that the streets were even more bustling than in the capital of Yunfeng County. No wonder it's the capital of the intermediate prefecture, Guangling Prefecture. The capital of the inferior prefecture, Yunfeng Prefecture, cannot be compared to it. Zhou Donghuang thought to himself. He felt like he had stayed in a county town on earth for too long. I had thought that I would need 3 months to attain level 6 of Qi gathering. I did not expect that the Lord of the Four Supremes to give me such a pleasant surprise as I practice without any distractions along the way. Zhou Donghuang was very satisfied with his progress since leaving the capital of Yunfeng Prefecture. If all goes well, I will be able to attain level 6 of Qi gathering in about a month. The original plan of 3 months had been shortened by almost a third. All of this was a pleasant surprise that the Lord of the Four Supremes had brought him. The longer he focused on practicing, the faster his rate of practice was, and the greater his level of practice was. In the past, Zhou Donghuang's practice in Qingshan town and the capital of Yunfeng prefecture had been interrupted every 2 or 3 days, and he had been unable to truly focus. Along the way, because the carriage they were in had the insignia of the governor's household of Guangling prefecture, no bandits dared to approach them. Occasionally they would encounter wild beasts, but they would be chased away by the 2 collateral disciples of the Wu family who were acting as coachmen. Therefore he had been practicing without any distractions on the way, and he had progressed rapidly. The governor's household of Guangling prefecture was not only a grand family, but also the top family of Guangling prefecture. As the saying went, when the tiger is away, the monkey is king. The governor's household of Guangling prefecture, which was also the residence of the Wu family, had been renovated like a small palace. It was extremely luxurious, and one would feel as if they were in the depths of a palace. In the resplendent living room of the Wu family household, Zhou Donghuang sat at the head of the table, casually picking up a cup of tea from the table beside him and sipping it slowly. Fu stood behind Zhou Donghuang, holding a black and red 7-foot spear in his hand. This was the black iron spear that Zhou Donghuang had bought in the Hall of Gods in the capital of Yunfeng prefecture. Below, the first young master of the Wu family, Wu Nanxuan, and the 2 collateral disciples of the Wu family who were acting as coachmen stood there, not even daring to breathe. Because of Wu Nanxuan, the group had been able to enter the Wu family household unimpeded and enter the living room. Now you must be eager to call your father, the governor of Guangling prefecture, over and have him avenge you, right? Zhou Donghuang put down his teacup and looked deeply at Wu Nanxuan. Wu Nanxuan's throat moved, but he did not speak in the end. Go, Zhou Donghuang said calmly. Zhou Donghuang said calmly, go and call your father here. Ask him to bring all the level 6 adepts of the Wu family along with him. Just him alone is not a challenge at all. As he spoke, Zhou Donghuang shook his head and grinned, revealing 2 rows of pearly white teeth. The confidence in his smile seemed to affect everyone present. Originally, Wu Nanxuan had already found it unbelievable that Zhou Donghuang would be so bold as to follow him back to the Wu family, and he had even thought that Zhou Donghuang was courting death. But now, seeing Zhou Donghuang so confident, his heart could not help but skip a beat. This Zhou Donghuang? Could it be that he is confident that he can suppress the Wu family? However, just as this thought surfaced in his mind, Wu Nanxuan, who was filled with hatred, forcefully suppressed it. No, impossible. I'll go find my father now and get him to capture him. I want to tear him to pieces with my own hands. At this moment, Wu Nanxuan's rationality was completely destroyed by the flames of hatred. As Wu Nanxuan left the living room, the 2 collateral disciples of the Wu family hurriedly followed, heaving a sigh of relief. The pressure that the youth gave them was just as great. After leaving the living room, Wu Nanxuan went directly to find his father, the governor of the Guangling prefecture, the patriarch of the Wu family, Wu Wentao. Son, you're back? Wu Wentao was a middle-aged man dressed in a loose green robe. He had a medium build, a dignified face and a mustache. Half of his hair had already turned white, but his eyes were bright and full of expression, and they flickered with a sharp gaze. However, when he saw Wu Nanxuan, his piercing gaze immediately softened. Wu Nanxuan was Wu Wentao's only son. Because of this, not only did he dote on this son, but he also had high hopes for him. He even planned to pass on the position of governor of Guangling prefecture to this son of his in the future. Father. Seeing Wu Wentao, Wu Nanxuan's eyes brightened. His tightened face instantly collapsed. He rushed up to Wu Wentao in 2 or 3 steps, kneeled down with a thud, and hugged Wu Wentao's thigh while crying. Son, what's wrong? Wu Wentao's expression changed. He knew his son the best, and unless something big had happened, he would not have lost his composure like this. Father, my meridians have been destroyed, and I will no longer be able to fulfill your expectations and take over the governor's household in the future. Wu Nanxuan's expression was pained, and his voice trembled as he spoke. What? Wu Wentao's expression changed, and he immediately knelt down. After confirming that his son's meridians had really been destroyed, his eyes narrowed, and his expression turned icy. In that instant, the temperature in the courtyard that Wu Wentao lived in seemed to drop by a few degrees. Son, what is going on? How could your meridians be destroyed? After all, he was the governor of Guangling prefecture, the patriarch of the Grand Wu family, and Wu Wentao quickly suppressed his rage and asked in a low voice. Father, it's Zhou Donghuang from Yunfeng prefecture. Faced with Wu Wentao's questions, Wu Nanxuan wept bitterly as he recounted everything that had happened. As he spoke, Wu Wentao's expression became even more serious. A 17-year-old youth had killed 2 level 5 adepts of the Wu family, destroyed his son, and still dared to come knocking on his door? Did he really just say that I should gather all the level 6 adepts of the Wu family to go with him? Wu Wentao was different from Wu Nanxuan. The latter's rationality had been destroyed by rage, but although Wu Wentao was angry, he still had a shred of rationality left. Zhou Donghuang, for him to dare say such a thing, either he was stupid and seeking death, or he really did not fear the Wu family. Based on what his son had told him, Zhou Donghuang could not be the former. Father, he must be bluffing, Wu Nanxuan said angrily. But since he wants to see the level 6 adepts of the Wu family, let's show him. I just hope that he doesn't wet his pants. Calm down, we will definitely test Zhou Donghuang. But before we confirm that he is bluffing, the Wu family must not offend him further. Wu Wentao was much calmer than Wu Nanxuan. In a moment, Wu Wentao sent someone to gather all the level 6 adepts in the Wu family household. Including himself, there were 4 level 6 adepts gathered together. There were 5 level 6 adepts in the Wu family, and one of them had left recently, so there were only 4 of them in the Wu family household. However, the one who was absent was the weakest of the 5 level 6 adepts, and his absence did not affect the overall situation. Uncle Fan's second brother, head elder. When the 3 level 6 adepts of the Wu family arrived, Wu Wentao went straight to the point and told them everything that had happened. The 3 of them without exception were all frightened. A 17-year-old youth killed Wu Yunfeng and Wu Hailang with a single blow? Wu Yunfeng and Wu Hailang were considered strong among the level 5 adepts of the Wu family, and it was precisely because of this that they had been sent to protect Wu Nanxuan, the first young master of the Wu family. Now, hearing that the 2 of them had been killed by a 17-year-old youth, the 3 level 6 adepts present gasped in unison. Big brother, let's go over. I would like to see that 17-year-old genius for myself. Chapter 66. The Wu family household. In the drawing room. Zhou Donghuang sat at the head of the table, looking calmly at the 5 people who had just entered the hall. If I remember correctly, your Wu family seems to have 5 level 6 adepts of Qi gathering? Why are there only 4 of them? Do you think that the 4 of you are enough to defeat me, Zhou Donghuang? As he said this, Zhou Donghuang's lips curled in a mocking smile. Now, of the 5 people who had entered the drawing room, 1 was Wu Nanxuan, and the other 4 were unfamiliar faces to Zhou Donghuang. 2 of them looked very similar to Wu Nanxuan. Sir, I am the governor of Guangling Prefecture, chief of the Wu family, Wu Wentao. Wu Wentao stepped forward and saluted Zhou Donghuang. As he introduced himself, he looked at Zhou Donghuang with a serious expression. Before he had seen this youth, he had not thought much of it. Now that he had seen this youth with his own eyes, he knew what confidence was. It was as if even the sky falling would not be enough to make this youth change his expression. Those who had such confidence were either truly powerful, or they were deliberately mystifying things. However, Wu Wentao had seen countless people in his life, and he did not think that the youth before him was the former, but the latter. Second master of the Wu family, Wu Jingtao, level 6 adept of Qi gathering. After Wu Wentao's self-introduction, the second master of the Wu family also stepped forward, his gaunt figure as straight as a spear, but his gaze on Zhou Donghuang was frighteningly cold, as if he was about to devour him. Minister of the Wu family, Lu Yifan, level 6 adept of Qi gathering. After the second master of the Wu family, Wu Jingtao, an old man in a green robe stepped forward. The old man was tall and strong as an ox, with a tiger's back and a bear's waist. Although he looked old and his hair was white, his body was more like a young man's. As Lu Yifan stepped forward, Wu Nanxuan glared at Zhou Donghuang with hatred in his eyes and laughed coldly. Zhou Donghuang, my grandfather Lu is the strongest in Guangling Prefecture, and he practices the 3rd-grade defensive technique, Cold Iron Raiment. His defense is so strong that no one in Guangling Prefecture can break it. 3rd-grade technique? Hearing Wu Nanxuan's words, Zhou Donghuang looked at the old man in surprise. As far as he knew, in the country of Yunyang, besides the imperial court of Yunyang and the various royal families, there were only 2 tycoon families who possessed 3rd-grade techniques. The 2 tycoon families had both contributed greatly to the imperial court of Yunyang country, so they had each been bestowed with a 3rd-grade martial arts technique. As far as I know, the 3rd-grade defensive technique Cold Iron Jacket was bestowed upon the tycoon Lu family by the imperial court of Yunyang country. Are you from the Lu family of Tianwu Prefecture? Zhou Donghuang asked lightly. Not bad. The old man raised his head proudly, as if he was proud to be a member of the Tycoon Lu family. However, Zhou Donghuang's next words caused the arrogance on his face to freeze. Not wanting to stay in the Tycoon Lu family, you've lowered yourself to this small grand family. In my opinion, you can't survive in the Lu family? When Zhou Donghuang's words fell into the old man's ears, it was as if he had struck a nail in the old man's heart. The Tycoon families were superior to the grand families. For a family to become a Tycoon family, it needed at least a level 8 adept to hold the fort. And the Lu family, besides being the governor of the superior prefecture of Qianwu Prefecture, was also an elite Tycoon family with many level 9 adepts. In the Lu family, a level 6 adept who could not advance any further would not be relegated to being a guard or an errand boy, but he would not have much status either. Lu Yifan was such a person. This rascal. Just as Lu Yifan's face darkened and a murderous glint flashed in his eyes, another old man standing at the side stepped forward and introduced himself. Head elder of the Wu family, Wu Chong, level 6 adept of Qi gathering. There's another one, call him over. Zhou Donghuang said lightly. Lu Yifan snorted coldly. What an arrogant rascal. The 4 of us are enough to deal with you. Sir, if you can escape unscathed from the 4 of us today, the grudge between you and the Wu family will be written off. Wu Wentao said in a low voice as he stared at Zhou Donghuang. If the youth in front of him could escape unscathed from the 4 level 6 adepts of the Wu family today, he would be someone the Wu family could not afford to offend. Even if his only son's veins were destroyed, he could only grit his teeth and swallow the pain. Escape unscathed? Zhou Donghuang laughed condescendingly. You think too highly of the 4 of you. As he spoke, Zhou Donghuang raised his hand and took the heavy black iron spear from Fu's hands. He weighed the spear in his hands as he looked calmly at Wu Wentao and the others. The 4 of you, come at me together. Zhou Donghuang was still sitting in the armchair at the head of the table, crossing his legs as he spoke. You're just going to sit there and fight with us? Hearing Zhou Donghuang's words and seeing that Zhou Donghuang had no intention of leaving his seat, Wu Jingtao's expression darkened as he asked coldly. Wasn't this 16 or 17-year-old kid a little too arrogant? Did he really think they were pushovers? The 4 of you are not worthy of me standing up. Zhou Donghuang glanced at Wu Jingtao casually, and the contempt in his eyes made Wu Jingtao's face flush red with anger. With a shake of his body, he was the first to fly forward, drawing the 3-foot narrow sword from the scabbard at his waist. Wang. The 3-foot narrow sword that looked no different from a sword cut through the air, glinting coldly. It seemed to come to life in Wu Jingtao's hand, and as it flew, it seemed to transform into a snake as it flew towards Zhou Donghuang's brow. Wu Jingtao used not only the lesser-grade swiftness technique of the Wu family, but also the lesser-grade sword technique of the Wu family. Whoosh! Zhou Donghuang shook the spear in his hand, and the heavy black iron spear, which weighed more than 1,000 kilograms, seemed to transform into a bolt of black lightning. When Wu Jingtao's sword was 4 feet away from his brow, the spear struck it. Clang! Ah! Accompanied by the ear-piercing sound of metal clashing, Wu Jingtao's screams rang out. As he let go of the narrow sword, the web between his thumb and forefinger had already split open, and blood flowed freely. Swoosh! The narrow sword that flew out was embedded in a pillar on the side of the living room. The blade was completely embedded in the pillar, and the force of the impact was evident. And this was the result of Zhou Donghuang's casual swing of the spear. Come at me together. Zhou Donghuang glanced lightly at Wu Wentao, Lu Yifan and Wu Chong. His tone was as calm as before, and his expression was as calm as before. Wu Wentao and the other 2 saw that Zhou Donghuang had injured Wu Jingtao with one move, and had even knocked the sword out of Wu Jingtao's hand, and their expressions became extremely serious. Now, hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, they looked at each other and attacked together. Swoosh! 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 3 figures whizzed out, heading straight for Zhou Donghuang. At the same time, Wu Jingtao also ran to the side of the pillar and used his uninjured left hand to pull the sword out of the pillar, preparing to join in the attack. Bang! 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 However, just as Wu Jingtao pulled the sword out and prepared to join forces with Wu Wentao and the other 2, he had just turned around when he heard 3 consecutive loud sounds, accompanied by 2 cries of pain and a deep groan. As he turned around, the scene before him made Wu Jingtao's legs feel like they were filled with lead, and he could not move an inch. Swoosh! Swoosh! Wu Wentao and Wu Chang's bodies were sent flying by Zhou Donghuang's spear, and like arrows released from a bow, they shot into the wall on the side of the living room. With 2 loud bangs, the wall that their bodies touched cracked open, and the cracks were eye-catching like a spider web. Their bodies scraped against the wall and crashed to the ground, blood spurting from their mouths. Their breathing was weak and it was obvious that they had lost the ability to fight. Now, even Lu Yifan, who was known as the strongest in Guangling Prefecture, was forced back more than 10 steps by Zhou Donghuang's spear. His eyes were wide open, his face red, and a trickle of blood seeped from the corner of his mouth. No wonder it's a third-grade defensive technique, cold iron jacket. You were only lightly injured after taking a casual strike from my spear. Zhou Donghuang left his seat and stood up, striding towards Lu Yifan. As he walked, he reminded him, "You probably did not use all your strength to defend just now. Now, I'll give you a chance to defend with all your strength. Let's see if your cold iron jacket can take another strike from my spear." As he spoke, Zhou Donghuang grinned, his 2 rows of snow-white teeth gleaming. Seeing Zhou Donghuang raise his hand again and sweep his spear towards him, Lu Yifan, who knew that he could not avoid it, suddenly turned serious. He activated all the qi in his body and used the third-grade defensive technique of the Lu family, cold iron jacket. After using the cold iron jacket to its fullest, Lu Yifan looked at Zhou Donghuang again, his eyes shining, as if he had suddenly become extremely confident. Wave-stacking force. Zhou Donghuang's eyes flashed, and the qi in his hands surged out layer by layer. Together with the black iron spear, he fell from the sky like a meteorite, smashing heavily into Lu Yifan's strong chest. For those who used the cold iron cloak, the strongest defense was the chest. Bang! As the black iron spear fell, Lu Yifan's body shook violently, and he took a step back. Seeing this, Wu Wentao and the rest's eyes lit up, thinking that Lu Yifan had blocked Zhou Donghuang's spear. However, in the next moment, their gazes froze. Whoosh! In the instant that Lu Yifan's body took a step back, his body flew forward as if defying gravity. The speed at which he flew was several times faster than Wu Wentao and Wu Chong. Boom! Chapter 67. The vermilion fruit was a rare treasure that could increase the level of practice of adepts. It was extremely rare and could only be found by chance. The vermilion fruit was divided into 100-year vermilion fruit, 1,000-year vermilion fruit, and 10,000-year vermilion fruit. For anyone below level 3 of Qi gathering, a 100-year vermilion fruit could increase their level of practice by 1 level in a few days. Even an ordinary person who did not practice could attain level 1 of Qi gathering in a few days after consuming a 100-year vermilion fruit. For anyone below level 6 of Qi gathering, a 1,000-year vermilion fruit could increase their level of practice by at least 1 level in a few days, and those with lower levels could even increase their level of practice by more than 2 levels. For anyone below level 9 of Qi gathering, a 10,000-year vermilion fruit could increase their level of practice by at least 1 level in a few days, and those with lower levels could even increase their level of practice by more than 4 levels. In the history of the country of Yunyang, a 10,000-year vermilion fruit had never appeared, and 1,000-year vermilion fruits had only appeared a few times. But the 100-year vermilion fruit was more common, and every time it appeared, it would cause a fight for it, even causing a bloodbath. It really is a 1,000-year vermilion fruit. Zhou Donghuang opened the brocade box that Freezing Wind had passed to him and saw a vermilion fruit, about the size of a baby's fist, giving off a refreshing aroma. In his previous life, when he had stood at the pinnacle of the universe, even a 10,000-year vermilion fruit would have been no different from an ordinary apple on Earth to him, much less a 1,000-year vermilion fruit. But now, this 1,000-year vermilion fruit caused a slight ripple in his originally calm heart. "You must have attained level 3 of Qi gathering by now?" Zhou Donghuang asked Freezing Wind. Freezing Wind nodded. "Thanks to the 1,000-star sword technique and the Qi gathering elixir that young master taught me, I attained level 3 of Qi gathering 6 days ago. Since you recognize this 1,000-year vermilion fruit, it means that you know what it can do. If you consume it, your level of practice will be able to attain level 4 of Qi gathering, or even reach level 5 of Qi gathering." Zhou Donghuang looked deeply at Freezing Wind and said, "Actually, you can consume it privately to increase your level of practice." Zhou Donghuang knew very well how tempting the 1,000-year fruit was. Even if Freezing Wind did not consume the 1,000-year red fruit himself, he could give it to the Chu royal family, or even the imperial court of Yunyang country, and the Chu royal family and the imperial court of Yunyang country would not mistreat Freezing Wind. Young master must be joking. Freezing Wind shook his head, his eyes filled with determination. "You've given Freezing Wind a new lease on life. Freezing Wind has no way to repay you. This 1,000-year red fruit is just a small token of my appreciation. It's rare for you to be so considerate." Zhou Donghuang nodded. "Fortunately, you did not consume the 1,000-year fruit. consuming it directly can only help one person increase their level of practice. If I use it as the main ingredient and combine it with some other medicinal ingredients to concoct a medicinal liquid, I will be able to concoct 10 bottles of medicinal liquid. Moreover, the medicinal effect of each bottle will not be any weaker than the medicinal effect of the medicinal liquid itself. Zhou Donghuang said. Freezing Wind was stunned by Zhou Donghuang's words. Didn't that mean that in the hands of his young master, 1,000-year vermilion fruit was equivalent to 10,000-year vermilion fruits? When I'm done concocting the medicinal liquid, I'll give you a bottle. Zhou Donghuang said again. Young master, you should keep the medicinal liquid for yourself. This way your level of practice will definitely increase greatly. Freezing Wind said. Zhou Donghuang shook his head. Concocting a medicinal liquid with the 1,000-year red fruit as the main ingredient will only be effective the first time. This is because after the first use, the body will develop a resistance to the medicine, and a second or even multiple uses will not help one's level of practice. As Freezing Wind left, Zhou Donghuang wrote a list for him to pass to Granny Lien. The medicinal ingredients on the list were the ones needed to concoct the medicinal liquid from the 1,000-year red fruit. They were not rare ingredients and could be easily gathered in the capital of Yunfeng Prefecture. That night, Granny Lien delivered the ingredients to Zhou Donghuang. Within an hour, Zhou Donghuang had concocted 10 bottles of medicinal liquid. With this medicinal liquid, I will definitely attain level 5 of Qi gathering in 3 days. After concocting the medicinal liquid, Zhou Donghuang called Fu over and gave him 5 bottles of medicinal liquid. Fu, of these 5 bottles of medicinal liquid, take 1 for yourself, and give the remaining 4 to my mother, Granny Lien, Freezing Wind, and Lu Qinghu. Young master, what medicinal liquid is this? Fu asked curiously. Aren't you about to attain level 2 of Qi gathering? Take this medicinal liquid and absorb all of its effects, and you will be able to attain level 3 of Qi gathering immediately. Zhou Donghuang smiled. Fu trusted Zhou Donghuang's words unconditionally, and because of this, he was stunned for a moment before recovering his wits, his face filled with joy. Thank you, young master. Fu knelt down and kowtowed in thanks before turning to leave. Of the 10 bottles of medicinal liquid, Zhou Donghuang had given Fu 5 bottles and there were still 5 left. He consumed 1 bottle and began practicing. Based on Zhou Donghuang's 1,000 years of practice, he knew very well how to absorb the effects of the medicinal liquid as quickly as possible. Therefore, in just 1 day and 2 nights, he had completely absorbed the effects of the medicinal liquid and successfully attained level 5 of Qi gathering. Moreover, it was not as simple as just attaining level 5 of Qi gathering. With my current level of practice, with the help of the Qi gathering elixir that increases the sensitivity to Qi by 7 times, I will be able to attain level 6 of Qi gathering in at most 3 months. Who would have thought that Freezing Wind would be so lucky to even obtain a 1,000-year red fruit? This is a pleasant surprise. After attaining level 5 of Qi gathering, Zhou Donghuang did not continue practicing and walked out of his room. Ever since the opening of the Magnolia Guild, he had rarely left his room. Usually he ate and drank in his room, and apart from that he slept and practiced. I don't think I've had the chance to stroll around the capital city of Yunfeng Prefecture. With this thought, Zhou Donghuang walked towards the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild, preparing to go out for a walk. As he passed by the living room, Zhou Donghuang heard a familiar voice speaking to his mother, Lin Lan. Sister Lan, I'm so envious of you for having such a good son. He's only 17 but he's already a level 5 adept. Unlike this daughter of mine who is only a year younger than Donghuang, but has not even attained level 1 of Qi gathering. Hearing this, Zhou Donghuang guessed who the speaker was. It was obviously the guild master of the Qingyun Guild in Ningping Town, Li Yun, who had been a good friend of his mother for many years. And Li Yun was also Li Rui's mother. Compared to Li Rui, he had a much better impression of Li Yun. Sister Yun, you flatter me? I haven't seen Xiao Rui for many years. She really has changed a lot and she's getting more and more beautiful. Lin Lan's voice followed. Aunt Lan, you're still as beautiful as ever. Hearing Li Rui's voice, Zhou Donghuang could not help but smile mockingly. He had never thought that Li Rui would have the cheek to come with her mother to look for his mother. Mother. Now Zhou Donghuang was in no hurry to go out and he strode directly into the living room. Aunt Yun. Standing beside Lin Lan, Zhou Donghuang smiled at Li Yun, who was standing with Li Rui. Donghuang, you're here at the right time. It's rare for your Aunt Yun to come to the prefecture capital. Let's have lunch with your Aunt Yun and sister Xiao Rui this afternoon. Lin Lan looked at Zhou Donghuang dotingly and smiled as she said this. All right. Zhou Donghuang nodded. Donghuang, Aunt Yun really did not expect that a child like you could attain level 5 of Qi gathering at the age of 17? Even in the entire younger generation of the country of Yunyang, I'm afraid no one can compare to you. Li Yun smiled brightly as she praised him. As she spoke, Li Yun glanced at Li Rui beside her. Why are you just standing there not greeting anyone? As soon as Li Yun finished speaking, Li Rui looked at Zhou Donghuang blushing and said bashfully, Big brother Donghuang. You flatter me. Zhou Donghuang replied casually, no longer as enthusiastic as he had been with Li Yun. Noticing Zhou Donghuang's indifference to Li Rui, Lin Lan frowned slightly. Donghuang, why are you speaking to your sister Xiao Rui like that? Mother, she doesn't like me and I can't possibly stick my face to her cold buttocks, can I? Zhou Donghuang shook his head lightly. What's going on? At this time, Lin Lan also vaguely realized that something unpleasant must have happened between her son and Li Rui. Otherwise, based on her understanding of her son, he would not have been so rude. Aunt Lan, don't blame big brother Donghuang, it's all Xiao Rui's fault. Xiao Rui met big brother Donghuang earlier and angered him. Li Rui said with tears in her eyes, looking very pitiful. Just as Lin Lan's heart softened at Li Rui's appearance, Zhou Donghuang looked at Li Rui and smiled faintly. Li Rui, you and Aunt Yun must have set off from Ningping town together and just arrived at the prefecture capital. You haven't returned to the Li family yet, right? Li Rui started, not knowing why Zhou Donghuang would suddenly ask this. She and her mother had indeed just arrived at the prefecture capital. Some time ago, after learning that Lin Lan's Magnolia Guild had reopened in the prefecture capital, she had made a trip back to Ningping town and called her mother, Li Yun, to the prefecture capital to try to get close to Zhou Donghuang and mend their relationship under the guise of visiting Lin Lan. In Li Rui's opinion, with her beauty, if she took the initiative, she would definitely be able to make Zhou Donghuang grovel at her feet. You probably don't know, 2 days ago that first mistress of the Li family returned? Zhou Donghuang looked deeply at Li Rui and said unhurriedly, returning with her was the first young master of the Wu family, the governor's household of the intermediate prefecture, Guangling Prefecture, Wunanshuan. Tiske. If she knew that you, a collateral descendant of the Li family, was actually hanging out with me, the person who killed her brother, she would probably expel you from the Li family. As he spoke, Zhou Donghuang chuckled. His words caused Li Rui's expression to change drastically. Even Li Yun, who was standing beside Li Rui, had a complete change of expression. Just as Li Rui and Li Yun's expressions changed, Granny Lian's voice came from outside the hall. Mistress, the preeminent Li family is here. Leading them is the chief of the Li family, Li Jingyu. Chapter 68. Morning of March 27, 1228 of the Ziyun era. A carriage pulled by 3 Fergana horses was parked at the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild. On each side of the carriage, a middle-aged man riding a Fergana horse stood guard. In front of the carriage, another Fergana horse stood at the bottom of the steps leading to the main entrance of the guild. On this Fergana horse sat a handsome middle-aged man of medium build. He looked in the direction of the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild, his eyes filled with a cold, bloodthirsty hatred. The 6 Fergana horses looked majestic and insufferably arrogant. Because of this, when the 6 Fergana horses arrived, they attracted many onlookers. That carriage looks like it belongs to the son-in-law of the Li family, the first young master of the Wu family of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture. The middle-aged man at the front is the chief of the Li family, Li Jingyu. Looks like the Li family is going to settle scores with Zhou Donghuang of the Magnolia Guild today. After all, the second young master of the Li family, Li Pingyun, died at Zhou Donghuang's hands. In the past, the Li family did not have the ability to take revenge and could only endure. Now that first young mistress of the Li family and the junior governor of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture have returned, the Li family will definitely not give up on this opportunity. 2 days ago, when I heard that the junior governor of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture had come, I knew that the Li family would definitely make trouble for Zhou Donghuang. It was only a matter of time. As time passed, the crowd grew, and the main road leading to the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild was completely packed. At the same time, the various preeminent families in the capital city of Yunfeng Prefecture, including the governor's household and the Zhao family, were also paying attention to the situation at the Magnolia Guild. They were all curious. Could Zhou Donghuang break out of this trap? Zhou Donghuang is out. Very quickly, the crowd of onlookers saw a handsome young man in white with an extraordinary aura walk out slowly with his hands behind his back from behind the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild. Behind the young man, two people walked out. It was the guild master of the Magnolia Guild, Lin Lan, and her old servant, Granny Lien. Young Master Donghuang. Just as Zhou Donghuang came out, the second master of the Lu family, Lu Bao, and a few elders of the Lu family behind him, bowed to Zhou Donghuang. Zhou Donghuang nodded slightly and walked to the front of the steps. His expression was calm as he looked at the middle-aged man riding a Fergana horse. Li Jingyu? Zhou Donghuang. Seeing Zhou Donghuang, the enemy who had killed his son, Li Jingyu, the patriarch of the Li family, could no longer control his emotions. Besides the rising murderous intent in his eyes, his handsome face had also become distorted. You killed my son Li Pingyun. Today my Li family will make you pay with your life. Li Jingyu's voice was bone-chilling, causing many of the onlookers to feel their hair stand on end. With just your Li family? Zhou Donghuang shook his head and smiled disdainfully. His gaze fell on the carriage not far away. Or should I say, based on the helper that your Li family found? That's right. Our Li family's son-in-law, the young governor of Guangling Prefecture, Wu Nanshuan. Li Jingyu said proudly. Although he was puzzled to see that Zhou Donghuang had not panicked or lost his composure, he thought that Zhou Donghuang was just putting on an act and bluffing. So what if Zhou Donghuang was a level 5 adept? Could he possibly challenge the Wu family of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture? The Wu family was a grand family with many level 6 adepts. Moreover, in his opinion, the two level 5 adepts by his son-in-law's side were enough to take down Zhou Donghuang easily. Looks like this son-in-law of yours has given you a lot of courage. You actually dare to challenge me, Zhou Donghuang. Zhou Donghuang smiled slightly. Zhou Donghuang. Just as Zhou Donghuang finished speaking, a shrill and angry voice sounded from within the carriage. Following that, a rather pretty girl dressed in gorgeous clothes walked out of the carriage. It was the first young lady of the Li family, Li Kaiyun. Seeing this, the driver hurriedly jumped off the carriage and sprawled on the ground, using his back as a ladder for Li Kaiyun. Li Kaiyun stepped off the carriage with a murderous look in her eyes as she glared at Zhou Donghuang. Today with Brother Sun here you will definitely die. Zhou Donghuang ignored her and looked at the person who had one foot out of the carriage behind Li Kaiyun. He said coldly, the junior governor of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture? Today if you don't step out of the carriage you and I will be fine. But if you dare step out of the carriage and meddle in this matter, don't even think of leaving in one piece. Zhou Donghuang's words were a direct threat to the person who was about to step out of the carriage. It was the first young master of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture, Wu Nanshuan. As soon as Zhou Donghuang said this, the crowd went wild. Zhou Donghuang is threatening the junior governor of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture? My God! The Wu family of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture is a grand family with many level 6 adepts. Does Zhou Donghuang think that the Wu family of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture is as powerful as the Zhao family of the governor's household of Yunfeng Prefecture? Newborn calves really do not fear tigers. The crowd of onlookers whispered among themselves and shook their heads. They all felt that Zhou Donghuang was in deep trouble. In their eyes, Zhou Donghuang was a level 5 adept of qi gathering, and even the Zhao family of the governor's household of Yunfeng Prefecture was wary of him. But this time, it was someone from the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture, and it was the first young master of the Wu family, Wu Nanshuan. The governor's household of Yunfeng Prefecture, the Zhao family, was a preeminent family. But the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture, the Wu family, was a grand family with many level 6 adepts and no less than 20 level 5 adepts. A mere level 5 adept was not even worth mentioning in front of the grand Wu family. How dare you? The middle-aged men on the Fergana horses on both sides of the carriage glared at Zhou Donghuang, their eyes flashing with murderous intent. Interesting. At the same time, an angry laugh came from within the carriage. The person who had stopped instinctively because of Zhou Donghuang's words stepped out of the carriage. It was a young man dressed in a brocade robe. He was handsome and had an air of innate arrogance about him. The moment he appeared, he became the center of attention. He is the first young master of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture, Wu Nanshuan? No wonder he is the first young master of a grand family. His aura is so strong that even the young masters of preeminent families cannot compare to him. After Wu Nanshuan stepped out of the carriage, the two middle-aged men on the Fergana horses on both sides of the carriage also dismounted and followed behind Wu Nanshuan. Brother Sun, this Zhou Donghuang does not seem to care about you and the Wu family at all. In my opinion, we can't let him die so easily today. Let's torture him first before killing him. Li Kaiyun held Wu Nanshuan's hand as she spoke coquettishly. As she spoke, she looked at Zhou Donghuang, her eyes filled with murderous intent. However, Wu Nanshuan did not respond to her. He took a few steps forward and looked calmly at Zhou Donghuang. He said casually, "Zhou Donghuang, you are only 17 years old, but you are already a level 5 adept. I have to say your martial talent is not bad. However, this genius of yours will only live to this day." As he spoke, there was a hint of jealousy in the depths of Wu Nanshuan's eyes, besides the murderous intent. A kid who came from a small town was actually more talented in martial arts than him. Wasn't this showing that he, the young master of a wealthy family, was useless? I gave you a chance. Zhou Donghuang glanced at Wu Nanshuan. However, since you did not cherish it, then don't blame me. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhou Donghuang moved without any warning. With a strange footwork, he shot out like a cannonball towards the chief of the Li family, Li Jingyu, who was closest to him. Whoosh! Zhou Donghuang's speed was extremely fast. He flew in front of Li Jingyu and landed a palm on his head. Only then did Li Jingyu react. His eyes narrowed and his expression changed. However, this was the last expression Li Jingyu had in his life. Bang! With just one palm, Zhou Donghuang had killed Li Jingyu on his horse. Li Jingyu's body fell off the horse and fell to the ground, completely lifeless. Li Jingyu, the chief of the preeminent Li family of Yunfeng Prefecture, a level 4 adept, had been killed in the blink of an eye. He had not even had a chance to attack. When this scene appeared before the eyes of the spectators, they were once again dumbstruck. This Zhou Donghuang is so strong. Too strong. He killed a level 4 adept like he was killing a dog. Even among level 5 adepts of Qi gathering, his ability would probably be considered strong, right? I wonder if the men brought by the first young master of the Wu family of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture are a match for him. The two men accompanying the first young master of the Wu family seemed to be level 5 adepts. 2 against 1, how could they not defeat Zhou Donghuang? Many people's gazes fell on the two middle-aged men behind Wu Nanshuan. In an instant, they realized, after witnessing Zhou Donghuang kill the chief of the Li family, Li Jingyu, with one palm, the indifferent expressions on the two middle-aged men's faces turned serious. "Father!" Li Kaiyun cried out as she regained her composure. She looked at Zhou Donghuang coldly as if she could not wait to tear Zhou Donghuang into pieces. "Brother Sun, avenge my father. Avenge my father," Li Kaiyun said to Wu Nanshuan anxiously. She did not want to see Zhou Donghuang alive for even a moment longer. Seeing that Zhou Donghuang had killed his father-in-law right in front of him, Wu Nanshuan felt as if his dignity had been completely trampled on, and his face was so dark that it seemed as if it could drip water. "Uncle Feng, Uncle Lang, kill him." Chapter 69. Auntie, he was the one who threw me out just now. Lian Ping stared coldly at Fu as he spoke to the elegant and beautiful woman in front of him. The beautiful lady's gaze swept past Fu's face and landed directly on Zhou Donghuang, and a smile appeared on her face. "Young master, I am the lady boss of Liuxiang restaurant, Lian Feng. How should I address you?" Originally, when she had found out that this young manservant, who was not even 20 years old, had been able to defeat her nephew, she had guessed that this young man had an extraordinary background. Now, seeing the young man with her own eyes, the extraordinary aura he exuded made her feel that he had a powerful background. Because of this, she was very careful and polite with her words. "Zhou Donghuang." Zhou Donghuang raised his head slowly and glanced at Lian Feng before lowering his head again and continuing to eat the dishes on the table. From start to finish, his expression was calm and unperturbed. "So it's young Master Donghuang." Lian Feng's smile deepened. "I wonder, where did young Master Donghuang come from?" At the same time, Lian Feng started to recall in her mind which families with the surname Zhou were in the country of Yunyang. However, after thinking for a long time, she could not think of any family with the surname Zhou. From the Yunyang imperial court to the preeminent families, there was not a single family with the surname Zhou. Yunfeng Prefecture. This time, hearing Lian Feng's question, Zhou Donghuang replied calmly without even lifting his head. As he spoke, he called out to Fu, "Fu, hurry up and eat. We'll leave after eating." "Yes, young master." Fu replied and joined in the sweeping party. Zhou Donghuang and Fu, master and servant, ate the dishes on the table as if there was no one else around, completely ignoring Lian Feng, Lian Ping and the rest. Yunfeng Prefecture? Lian Feng frowned. Wasn't Yunfeng Prefecture just an inferior prefecture? Her eldest nephew, the first young master of the Wu family in the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture, Wu Nanshuan, had married the young mistress of a preeminent family in Yunfeng Prefecture as a concubine. To her, Yunfeng Prefecture was a small place where even birds wouldn't take a shit. Even the governor of Yunfeng Prefecture did not dare to be presumptuous in front of Lianfeng. Young Master Donghuang, you must have passed by Yunfeng Prefecture and come to our Guangling Prefecture? You don't look like someone who was born and raised in that inferior prefecture. Lianfeng was very patient. She smiled and probed further. What? Are you looking down on us from Yunfeng Prefecture? Zhou Donghuang finally had his fill. He put down the bowl and chopsticks in his hands, raised his head, and glanced at Lianfeng with an amused expression. Are you really from Yunfeng Prefecture? Lianfeng's expression froze as she stared into Zhou Donghuang's eyes. Until now, she still could not believe that this young man had come from a small place like Yunfeng Prefecture. I guarantee it's genuine, Zhou Donghuang replied calmly. Aunt, you're being too cautious. Even if he has a powerful evil slave by his side, what kind of background can he have? Hearing that Zhou Donghuang was from Yunfeng Prefecture, Lianping's gaze had turned even colder. Now, hearing Zhou Donghuang's response to Lianfeng, he could not help but stand up and say to Lianfeng, Aunt, he was the one who allowed his evil slave to throw me out of this booth just now. You have to seek justice for me. As he spoke, Lianping's eyes turned red as he looked at Lianfeng, and he spoke through gritted teeth. At the same time, Lianfeng's expression turned icy cold. Sir, you are eating at Liuxiang restaurant, but you bullied my nephew. Don't you think you owe me an explanation? After receiving Zhou Donghuang's confirmation twice and confirming that Zhou Donghuang was from Yunfeng Prefecture, Lianfeng no longer felt that Zhou Donghuang had any powerful background. Just as her nephew Lianping had said, what kind of background could a person from an inferior prefecture have? As such, there was no need for her to be so cautious or fearful. She even felt that she had lowered her status by being so respectful to a person from an inferior prefecture. The more she thought about it, the more disgusted she became, and unknowingly she became even more resentful. Because of this, hearing Lianping's words, Lianfeng's expression changed completely. Give you an explanation? Zhou Donghuang looked at Lianfeng meaningfully and smiled. Why don't you ask me? Why did I ask my servant to throw your nephew out? Lianfeng sneered. I, Lianfeng, am the lady boss of Liuxiang restaurant. My nephew naturally has the right to use the sky room first. Since the dishes haven't been served yet, you should be sensible enough to give up the sky room if I ask you to. In fact, with just a word from me, I can blacklist you and make you unable to enter Liuxiang restaurant for the rest of your life. Lianfeng said in a low voice. Your husband is Wu Jingtao? Zhou Donghuang asked suddenly. That's right. Lianfeng nodded. My husband is not only the owner of Liuxiang restaurant, but also the second master of the Wu family in the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture, a level 6 adept. Today he is not here or you won't be leaving here alive. As she spoke, Lianfeng looked at Zhou Donghuang with a chilling glint in her eyes. Is that so? Zhou Donghuang laughed. That Wu Jingtao is so overbearing? I really couldn't tell. You know my husband? Lianfeng frowned. Not really, but we've met once. Zhou Donghuang said lightly. Meanwhile, Lianping spoke from the side. Don't forget that I told you earlier. This evil slave by his side made a clamor in front of me earlier, and he said that even if uncle was here, he wouldn't dare be presumptuous before the youth of his family. I forgot about that. Only then did Lianfeng remember what Lianping had said to her, and a layer of frost appeared on her face. When she looked at Zhou Donghuang again, her gaze became even colder. You hurt my nephew in Liuxiang restaurant, and you dare to belittle and slander my second master, the owner of Liuxiang restaurant. Today, if you and your servant do not leave something behind, don't even think of leaving. Lianfeng's eyes flashed coldly as if ready to devour Zhou Donghuang. Zhou Donghuang's expression was still calm as he asked meaningfully, Then what do you want us to leave behind? Before Lianfeng could speak, Lianping had already spoken, his tone cold. Leave behind one of your legs. You mean the same thing? Zhou Donghuang's eyes narrowed slightly as he looked at Lianfeng, his tone cold. Lianfeng's eyes flashed. My nephew's wishes are my wishes. As soon as she finished speaking, Lianfeng ordered in a low voice, Wu Gan, break one of each of their legs, then throw them out of the lingering fragrance restaurant. Yes, madam. The middle-aged man behind Lianfeng was Wu Gan, a collateral descendant of the Wu family whom second master Wu Jingtao had arranged to protect Lianfeng. After Wu Gan acknowledged respectfully, he looked at Zhou Donghuang and Fu with a piercing gaze. Then he stepped forward towards them, his footsteps becoming faster and faster. As Wu Gan moved, Zhou Donghuang could tell that although his ability was not bad, he had not attained level 5 of Qi gathering, and such an opponent would be a good training ground for Fu. Although Fu's ability was not bad now, he lacked combat experience and needed to be tempered by sparring. This Wu Gan would be a good touchstone for Fu. Almost as soon as Zhou Donghuang finished speaking, Fu had already left his seat and used the star-stepping footwork to meet Wu Gan. Looking at his footwork, it was much more awkward than Zhou Donghuang's star-stepping footwork. Even so, Fu's speed was already comparable to the speed of his opponent's lesser-grade swiftness technique. In an instant, the two of them closed in on each other and began to cross swords. In the beginning, Fu had fallen into a slight disadvantage. However, after around 10 breaths of time, Fu had gradually turned his disadvantage into an advantage, and he'd completely suppressed his opponent. This scene made Lian Feng and the others more and more shocked. Wu Gan was a level 4 adept, and not just any ordinary level 4 adept. He was publicly acknowledged as the #1 level 4 adept in the Wu family of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture. It was precisely because of this that the second master of the Wu family, Wu Jingtao, had sent him to protect Lian Feng. Bang! Another dozen or so breaths passed. Fu, who had become more and more skilled in using star-stepping steps and weighted sand palm, moved in a mysterious manner and seized the chance to land a palm strike on Wu Qian's chest. He forced Wu Qian back, injured him and won. "Madam, I am no match for him." Blood flowed from the corner of Wu Gan's mouth as he said to Lian Feng with a bitter smile. "I can see that." Lian Feng's expression was dark and she said to the servant behind her, "You, go back to the governor's household and get second master here." After the servant had left, Lian Feng looked at the two of them, her gaze icy cold. "Don't even think of using this opportunity to escape. Even if you leave Liuxiang restaurant and leave the capital city of Guangling Prefecture, you will not be able to escape from the hands of the Wu family. The Wu family is the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture." "Young master." Fu ignored Lian Feng and looked at Zhou Donghuang, asking respectfully, "Now that we have finished eating, shall we leave now or later?" "Later," Zhou Donghuang said calmly. Zhou Donghuang said lightly. Now he was in no hurry to leave. He wanted to see how Lian Feng's husband, Wu Jingtao, Chief Wu of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture, would explain this to him. Besides, when he saw Fu defeat Wu Gan, he suddenly remembered something that he could ask Wu Jingtao to do. "At least you know your place." Chapter 70. The governor's household of Guangling Prefecture. The Wu family household. "Big brother, I'll take my leave first." After Wu Jingtao had bandaged the wound on his right hand at the residence of his big brother, Wu Wentao, he conversed with Wu Wentao for about an hour before taking his leave. The content of their conversation revolved around the young man in white who had demonstrated his prowess in the drawing room of the Wu family an hour ago. A mere 17-year-old youth possessing power that surpassed that of an ordinary level 7 adept was an unprecedented shock to them. Because of this, they had reached a consensus. Even if they could not be friends with that youth, they could not be enemies. Second master. Not long after Wu Jingtao left, on the way back to his residence, he ran into the personal servant of his wife, Lian Feng. The servant was in a hurry, her face flustered as if she had run into some urgent matter. "What's the matter? Where's madam?" Wu Jingtao frowned slightly as he looked at the servant who was hurrying up to him. As far as he could remember, this servant girl was practically inseparable from his wife, Lian Feng. But now she had left his wife and was in such a hurry. Clearly something had happened. "Second master, madam is at Liuxiang restaurant," the servant said hurriedly. "Madam asked me to invite you over. Someone is causing trouble at Liuxiang restaurant, and brother Wu Gan has been defeated. Madam asked me to invite you over." Someone is causing trouble? Wu Gan has been defeated. Almost as soon as the maidservant finished speaking, Wu Jingtao's expression changed completely. Then, with a flash of his body, he disappeared from the maidservant's line of sight like a feather. "Who is so bold as to cause trouble at the Liuxiang restaurant of the Wu family of the governor's household?" As Wu Jingtao hurried in the direction of Liuxiang restaurant, his eyes flashed with a cold light, and he swore to himself, "No matter who it is, whoever dares to cause trouble at Liuxiang restaurant can forget about leaving in one piece." An hour ago, although Wu Jingtao had been utterly humiliated by that youth, deep in his heart, he had still harbored a great deal of resentment. Now that he knew that someone was causing trouble at Liuxiang restaurant, the resentment he had hidden in his heart suddenly burst forth, and he could not control it. Right now Wu Jingtao was furious and he needed someone to bear his anger. It just so happened that someone had come to the Liuxiang restaurant to cause trouble. He was prepared to vent his anger on the other party to get rid of the shock he had received from the white rogue youth today. Liuxiang restaurant. In the heavenly private room. Zhou Donghuang sat in front of the table with his legs crossed and one hand on the table. From time to time, his index and middle fingers would tap the table irregularly. His expression was calm as he waited patiently. Fu stood respectfully behind Zhou Donghuang, occasionally looking at the three people standing at the door with a mocking and cold gaze. Of the four people who had come with Lian Feng, other than Lian Ping and Wu Gan, the servant girl had left on Lian Feng's orders, and the chief steward of Yunxian restaurant Huang Xiong had been assigned by Lian Feng to manage the affairs of Liuxiang restaurant. The remaining three people stood guard at the entrance of the heavenly room. We should be arriving soon, right? Lian Feng silently calculated the time and thought to herself. In practically 10 breaths of time after Lian Feng had this thought, a gloomy and furious voice resounded from outside the heaven room. Who dares to cause trouble in the Wu family's Liuxiang restaurant? Although the door was closed, the people inside could still hear the anger in the voice. Bang! With a loud crash, the door to the private room was smashed open, and a thin ramrod-straight figure appeared before everyone's eyes. With just one look, Zhou Donghuang and Fu recognized him. The person who had come was none other than the second master of the Wu family of the Guangling Prefecture governor's household, Wu Jingtao. Second master. Lian Feng was the first to greet the newcomer. Wu Gan, who was behind her, also bowed to the newcomer respectfully. Uncle. Lian Ping also came forward, looking excitedly at the newcomer. At the same time, he seemed to have a strong self-confidence, as if Wu Jingtao's appearance had given him a new lease on life. Second master, how did your hand get injured? Lian Feng's expression changed slightly when she saw her husband's bandaged right hand. It's nothing, just a small injury. Seeing Lian Feng, Wu Jingtao's originally angry expression became much calmer, and he forced a smile. Then, as if remembering something, his expression changed and he said coldly, Who dares to cause trouble in the Wu family's Liuxiang restaurant? Without waiting for Lian Feng and the others to speak, Wu Jingtao's gaze had already swept past Wu Gan and Lian Ping, who were behind Lian Feng, and landed on the youth sitting in the private room and the youth standing behind him. The moment he saw the two, Wu Jingtao's eyes narrowed, and his ugly expression froze. Uncle. Almost at the same time that Wu Jingtao looked at Zhou Donghuang and Fu, Lian Ping had already walked forward. As he turned to look at Zhou Donghuang and Fu, he said angrily, It's them. Not only did they throw me out of the private room, but they also did not give Aunt any face and injured Uncle Wu Gan. Uncle you. Just as Lian Ping was about to shout out in anger and further provoke Wu Jingtao's anger, he was interrupted by a crisp slap on the face before he could finish speaking. Without any warning, Wu Jingtao raised his hand and slapped Lian Ping across the face, interrupting him. Uncle? Half of Lian Ping's face was swollen, and his eyes were filled with confusion. He had no idea why his uncle had suddenly hit him. Whoosh! Just now, Lian Feng had noticed that her husband had been looking at Zhou Donghuang and Fu strangely. Now, seeing her husband slap Lian Ping, her expression changed and she finally understood. The youth in white did know her husband. Moreover, her husband did seem to be very afraid of him. He was lying to us just now? At that moment, Lian Feng thought that the youth in white had deliberately lied to them, saying that he was from the inferior Yunfeng prefecture. She did not think that her husband would be afraid of someone from a small, inferior prefecture. Young Master Donghuang. After slapping Lian Ping across the face, Wu Jingtao's anger was extinguished in an instant. With a nervous look and a bitter smile, he bowed to Zhou Donghuang and said, I didn't know it was you. Seeing this, Lian Ping's expression changed. Although he was a spoiled brat, he was not stupid, and he could naturally see his uncle's fear of Zhou Donghuang. Facing Wu Jingtao, Zhou Donghuang only looked at him calmly, smiling faintly. Behind Zhou Donghuang, Fu laughed coldly. Second master of the Wu family, how impressive. This nephew of yours and your wife just threatened to break one of my young master's legs and throw us out of the Liuxiang restaurant. Just as Fu finished speaking, Wu Jingtao felt his vision darken, and he almost fainted from fright. His nephew Lian Ping and his wife, Lian Feng, had actually threatened to break one of Zhou Donghuang's legs? Now, even his elder brother, the governor of Guangling Prefecture and chief of the Grand Wu family, Wu Wentao, did not dare to say such things to Zhou Donghuang. Bitch. Without any hesitation, the moment Wu Jingtao looked at Lian Feng again, his eyes flashed with reluctance and determination. Then he kicked out and broke one of Lian Feng's legs with a crack. Lian Feng let out a muffled groan as she did so. Lian Feng's beautiful features were almost twisted together, and her entire body trembled violently. Then she fell to the ground, sitting on her butt. Obviously, she was enduring the excruciating pain from her broken leg. Seeing this, even Zhou Donghuang could not help but raise his eyebrows, surprised at the endurance of a mere woman like Lian Feng. Uncle, don't. When Lian Ping saw Wu Jingtao walk up to him in 2 or 3 steps, he seemed to realize something. His expression changed drastically and he was so frightened that he took a step back. Crack. Ah! As Lian Ping followed in Lian Feng's footsteps, he fell to the ground and screamed like a pig being slaughtered. It was only when Wu Jingtao spoke coldly that he forced himself not to scream again. If you scream again, I'll kill you, you little bastard. It was Wu Jingtao's words that frightened Lian Ping so much that he did not dare to scream again. His body trembled from the excruciating pain, and he broke out in a cold sweat. Young Master Donghuang, are you satisfied with my punishment? After breaking Lian Feng and Lian Ping's legs with lightning speed, Wu Jingtao once again bowed to Zhou Donghuang, his tone filled with unease and unease. The scene of this youth showing off his might in the drawing room of the Wu family household an hour ago was still fresh in his mind. Later, when he had been bandaging his wounds at his elder brother Wu Wentao's place, he and his elder brother had come to the same conclusion. This youth was at least a level 7 adept of Qi gathering, and not just any ordinary level 7 adept, but an elite among level 7 adepts. Such a being was not someone the Wu family could afford to offend. Therefore, when he found out that his beloved wife and beloved nephew had offended the other party, he didn't hesitate to punish the 2 of them, hoping to quench the other party's anger. Under Wu Jingtao's uneasy gaze, Zhou Donghuang rose from his seat and walked out of the heavenly booth with Fu. Seeing this, Wu Jingtao breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that the youth did not intend to pursue the matter further. Just then Zhou Donghuang's calm voice rang out from outside the booth. I'll give you 15 minutes to settle your affairs, then be our carriage driver for a trip to the Chu royal city. Zhou Donghuang's words were obviously directed at Wu Jingtao. Hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, both Lian Feng and Lian Ping seemed to forget their pain at that moment, and they subconsciously looked at Wu Jingtao. To let the second master of the Wu family of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture be their carriage driver? Wasn't this humiliating? Wu Jingtao answered bitterly, yes, young Master Donghuang. Chapter 71. When Zhou Donghuang had asked Wu Jingtao to be his carriage driver, Lian Feng and Lian Ping had felt that it was a great humiliation, and Wu Jingtao would never agree. But what Wu Jingtao said next made them completely dumbfounded. Second master, you, Lian Feng looked at Wu Jingtao in disbelief. As Wu Jingtao's wife, she knew him better than anyone else. Wu Jingtao's pride was so strong that he would rather die than be humiliated like this. I'm sorry. Wu Jingtao looked at Lian Feng's broken leg with a pained expression. She was his wife and he doted on her all the time. If there was no need, he would never have hit her. I knew my limits when I hit you and Ping. As long as you recuperate, your legs will recover in a year and a half. As Wu Jingtao spoke, he helped Lian Feng and Lian Ping reattach their broken bones. He was an intermediate-level medicine master, and it was easy for him to treat such injuries. Hearing Wu Jingtao's words, Lian Ping's eyes lit up, and he asked while enduring the pain in his leg, Uncle, what is Zhou Donghuang's background? Why are you so afraid of him? At Lian Ping's question, Lian Feng also looked at Wu Jingtao with the same puzzled expression. He has no background. Thinking of what his nephew Wu Nanshuan had said about Zhou Donghuang's background, Wu Jingtao shook his head with a bitter smile. No background? Lian Ping and Lian Feng were stunned. He was born and raised in Yunfeng Prefecture. What background could he have? Even the governor of Yunfeng Prefecture would not dare to stand in front of me if I asked him to kneel. Wu Jingtao sighed. Is he really from Yunfeng Prefecture? Lian Feng was dumbfounded, and Lian Ping also stared blankly at Wu Jingtao, his eyes and face full of disbelief. After a while, Lian Ping regained his composure and asked, Uncle, if he has no background, why are you so afraid of him? He has no background. Wu Jingtao's eyes flashed and he said in a low voice, but he is a level 7 adept, and not an ordinary level 7 adept. What background do you think such a person needs in front of me? Wu Jingtao asked Lian Ping in return. What? This time not only were Lian Ping and Lian Feng dumbfounded, even Wu Gan was dumbfounded. That youth who looked no older than 16 or 17 was actually a level 7 adept of qi gathering. Impossible. Lian Ping shook his head. How old is he? How could he be a level 7 adept? Uncle, are you mistaken? Am I mistaken? Wu Jingtao raised his right hand and looked at the bandage around his thumb and forefinger. The wound on my hand was left by him an hour ago. While Lian Feng and the others were still in a daze, Wu Jingtao looked at Lian Feng and continued. An hour ago, I was injured by him in the living room of the Wu clan's mansion. Then Big Brother, Uncle Fan and the Grand Elder joined forces and sent Big Brother and the Grand Elder flying with 2 spear strikes. They lost the ability to fight again. At that time, he was sitting in the armchair in the living room when he attacked us. Although Uncle Fan withstood his first spear strike, he was also injured. Later, he stood up from his seat, and with 1 spear strike, Uncle Fan was sent flying through the wall more than 10 meters before he fainted. Now, the wall in the living room has not even been repaired. Every word that Wu Jingtao said caused the hearts of Lian Feng and the others to tremble violently. Even when Wu Jingtao finished speaking, they still had not recovered from their shock. Although Wu Jingtao's words were unbelievable. But they knew that Wu Jingtao had no reason to lie. Uncle Fan is recognized as the most powerful adept in Guangling Prefecture, and he has mastered the 3rd-grade defensive technique, Cold Iron Raiment. His defense is so strong that no one in Guangling Prefecture can break it, and yet he is no match for him? Lian Feng was pale with fright. Thinking of how arrogant she had been in front of her opponent, she even began to rejoice that she had escaped with her life. Otherwise, why would I say that he is not an ordinary level 7 adept? Wu Jingtao smiled bitterly. Uncle, why did he go to the governor's household? And he even fought with you. Lian Ping thought of this crucial question. He came back with Sun. Wu Jingtao's eyes flashed, and he recounted everything that had happened to Wu Nanshuan in Yunfeng Prefecture. He attacked us probably to establish his dominance so that we would not dare to take revenge on his family. But I did not expect that after establishing his dominance, he would come to Liuxiang restaurant for a meal and even clash with you. As he spoke, Wu Jingtao could not help but sigh. As for Lian Feng, Lian Ping and Wu Gan, they were still immersed in what had happened to Wu Nanshuan, unable to recover for a long time. Wu Nanshuan, the young governor of the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture, the pride of Guangling Prefecture, had his meridians destroyed on a trip to Yunfeng Prefecture? At this moment, Lian Ping finally realized how lucky he was, and he broke out in a cold sweat. Compared to Wu Nanshuan, his leg injury which could be healed was nothing. If I was alone and he asked me to be his coachman, given my temper, I would rather die than comply. But I still have the Wu clan behind me. If he asked me to be his coachman, I wouldn't dare to refuse. It was precisely because he was worried that the youth would vent his anger on the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture that Wu Jingtao had no choice but to agree to his request. Second master, for the sake of the family, we have wronged you. Lian Feng sighed. Uncle, he won't take revenge on me again, will he? Lian Ping asked worriedly. If he wanted to take revenge on you, he would not have left. I think my attack on you just now should have appeased his anger. Wu Jingtao shook his head, and after giving Lian Feng some instructions, he left Liuxiang restaurant to look for the youth. Of course, before he left, Wu Jingtao repeatedly warned Lian Feng and Lian Ping not to think about going to Yunfeng Prefecture to take revenge on the youth's family, or the Wu family and the Lian family would be in trouble. Lian Feng and Lian Ping had long been scared out of their wits when they found out that Wu Nanshuan had been destroyed by the youth, and that the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture had to swallow their anger. They did not dare to have any thoughts of taking revenge on the youth. Previously, in the heavenly booth of Liuxiang restaurant, Zhou Donghuang had planned to ask Wu Jingtao to find 2 capable disciples of the Wu family to be his carriage driver on the way to the Chu royal city. Although Fu could also drive the carriage, it would affect his practice. Therefore, he had decided to find someone else to drive the carriage. After Wu Jingtao had arrived, he felt that in the Wu family, besides other level 6 adepts of qi gathering, there was no one more suitable than Wu Jingtao to be his carriage driver. With Wu Jingtao's ability, if he were to be his carriage driver, it would save him a lot of trouble on the way to the Chu royal city. This way, he would be able to practice the Lord of the Four Supremes without any distractions. In that state, his practice would progress rapidly, and he might even be able to successfully attain level 7 of qi gathering before he reached the Chu royal city. On the way here from the capital of Yunfeng Prefecture, I have been practicing the Lord of the Four Supremes for a month. Without any distractions, my training speed has been increasing, Even now that I am in the capital of Guangling Prefecture, my training speed is still increasing. That is to say, my practice speed has not reached its limit. From the capital city of Guangling Prefecture all the way to the Chu Royal City, even with 3 Fergana horses pulling the carriage, it will still take at least 4 months. If my practice speed can continue to increase during this process, by the time I reach the Chu Royal City, let alone level 7 of Qi Gathering, I might even have attained level 8 of Qi Gathering. A conservative estimate of level 7 of Qi Gathering is that if I practice without any distractions for 2 months, my practice speed will increase to its limit. At this thought, Zhou Donghuang's eyes were filled with anticipation. The so-called no distractions didn't mean that one couldn't stop cultivating. Instead, it meant that one couldn't be distracted by other things during the process of interrupting cultivation. If it was just eating or resting, it wouldn't affect the state of being able to cultivate without distractions. Just like the last time when he had arrived at the capital city of Guangling Prefecture, that state of practice without distractions had been forcibly interrupted. Now, if he wanted to enter that state of practice again, he would have to start all over again. The Lord of the Four Supremes is only a technique that can be practiced up to the primordial soul stage, but in terms of techniques for the Qi Gathering stage, it is more than enough to crush any technique that I know of in the 10,000 races of the universe. Sitting in the carriage, Zhou Donghuang's eyes flashed, and he thought to himself, if not for the fact that the Lord of the Four Supremes can only be practiced to the primordial soul stage, based on the wonders of the practice method for the Qi Gathering stage and the power of the primal core stage, it would not be an exaggeration to call it the best practice method in the universe. It was just as Zhou Donghuang had thought. With Wu Jingtao personally driving the carriage, the rest of the journey was very peaceful. About 20 days later, the carriage left Guangling Prefecture and entered the superior level prefecture between Guangling Prefecture and the Chu Royal City. It then traveled through the superior level prefecture for a whole 2 months before leaving the superior level prefecture and arriving near the Chu Royal City. This speed could be said to be the limit for a carriage. The efficiency of 3 Fergana horses pulling the carriage was the same as that of more than 3 Fergana horses pulling the carriage. Otherwise, as the junior governor of the Guangling Prefecture, Wu Nanshuan would not have taken this carriage pulled by 3 Fergana horses to Yunfeng Prefecture. With his status, it would be easy for him to get 8 or 10 Fergana horses to pull the carriage. Because of this, before leaving the capital city of Guangling Prefecture, Zhou Donghuang did not ask Wu Jingtao to add a few more Fergana horses to the carriage as there was no point. Young Master Donghuang, the Chu Royal City is just ahead. On September 9, 1228 of the Ziyun era, the carriage pulled by 3 Fergana horses, driven by Wu Jingtao, finally arrived at the gates of the Chu Royal City. The day of departure from the capital city of Guangling Prefecture was May 3, 1228 of the Ziyun era. Chapter 72. This was the second time Wu Jingtao had come to the Chu Royal City in his life, and the first time he had been filled with curiosity and yearning. But this time there was only relief. Young Master Donghuang, we have arrived at the Chu Royal City. Can I return to Guangling Prefecture? Wu Jingtao asked uneasily as he turned to look at the carriage outside the main gates of the Chu Royal City. Inside the carriage, Fu glanced at the white-robed youth beside him, who was completely engrossed in his cultivation. Seeing that there was no reaction from him, he pulled open the curtains and walked out. My young master is still cultivating. If you want to leave, then leave. Just leave the carriage to me. Fu sat by Wu Jingtao's side and took the reins from his hands as he spoke calmly. Hearing Fu's words, Wu Jingtao smiled as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders, and he immediately got off the carriage, leapt onto the back of the Fergana horse following behind, turned the horse around and galloped away without looking back. It was as if he was fleeing for his life. The Fergana horse that Wu Jingtao was riding was the one that he had brought along with him, and he had planned to use it on the return journey. After Wu Jingtao left, Fu steered the carriage towards the main gates of the Chu Royal City. As the largest city in the western ridge of the Chu King, the Chu Royal City was like a giant beast lying on the vast expanse of land, giving off a majestic aura. And this was a characteristic that the other cities in the western ridge of the Chu King did not have. Young Master has not awoken from his practice, so let's go into the Chu Royal City and find an inn to stay at. When Young Master wakes up, we will see what Young Master plans to do next. Fu was no longer the ignorant youth of the past in the small town. After following Zhou Donghuang for so long, he had become much more mature and reliable. A carriage pulled by 3 Fergana horses was not rare even in the prefecture capitals of the intermediate prefectures, and naturally did not attract much attention in the royal city. Even as he walked through the endless stream of carriages in the Chu royal city, in just 15 minutes, Fu had already seen several carriages pulled by 3 Fergana horses. When Zhou Donghuang, who was sitting cross-legged in the carriage, woke up from his training, night had already fallen. The carriage stopped at the back of an inn in the Chu royal city where carriages were specially reserved for guests. Although Fu had already opened the door to the guest room, he still stood guard outside the carriage, afraid that someone would disturb his young master's practice. "Fu, what about Wu Jingtao?" Zhou Donghuang stopped practicing and walked out of the carriage. He found that only Fu was there and Wu Jingtao was nowhere to be seen. "Young master, when we were outside the Chu royal city, Wu Jingtao stopped the carriage and asked you if he could return to Guangling Prefecture. At the time, you were practicing, so I took over the carriage and let him return." Fu said. "Why are you in such a hurry to return?" Zhou Donghuang's eyes narrowed, and his lips curled into a mocking smile. "I had originally intended to give him a third-grade sword technique before he returns, on account of the fact that he has been my driver for 4 months. Now it seems that I have saved that trouble." Fu was taken aback at first, and then he could not help but shake his head and laugh. "If Wu Jingtao knew about your plans, he would definitely regret it so much that his intestines would turn green." "Young master, I have already opened the door to your guest room. I will take you there now." Fu informed Zhou Donghuang and led the way, bringing Zhou Donghuang back to the guest room he had booked earlier. "Fu, rest early tonight. Come with me tomorrow morning," Zhou Donghuang said to Fu, who was standing outside the door. Zhou Donghuang said to Fu, who was standing outside the door, before closing the door. "Yes, young master," Fu replied respectfully. Fu replied respectfully. After his young master closed the door, he returned to the other room next door. After closing the door, Zhou Donghuang did not continue practicing. Instead, he lay on the bed and stared at the ceiling, deep in thought. Just as I had guessed, practicing the Lord of the Four Supremes without any distractions does not increase the speed of practice infinitely. After practicing the Lord of the Four Supremes without any distractions for 2 months, the speed of practice has already increased to the limit. However, in the next 2 months, with the extreme speed of practice, my level of practice was just as I had guessed, and I successfully attained level 7 of Qi Gathering. 7 days ago, Zhou Donghuang had successfully attained level 7 of Qi Gathering and become a level 7 adept with the strength of 7 bulls. 4 months ago, in the prefecture capital of Guangling Prefecture, he was only a level 5 adept of Qi Gathering. In a short span of 4 months, he had achieved 2 consecutive breakthroughs and become a level 7 adept. Now that I have attained level 7 of Qi Gathering, I can wield second-grade techniques as I please. I can even manage to wield first-grade techniques that are extremely powerful and domineering. For Zhou Donghuang, his improvement to level 7 of Qi Gathering was not as simple as his Qi. Only when one had enough true Qi could they display even more powerful martial arts. In the 1,000 years of memories from his previous life, he had seen countless techniques used by adepts of the Qi Gathering, so he had no shortage of techniques. What he lacked now was the strength to display those martial arts. Early the next morning, Zhou Donghuang left the inn with Fu and weaved through the heavy traffic on the streets of the Chu royal city. As long as he saw a medicine shop, Zhou Donghuang would bring Fu in. In the morning, after visiting more than 10 medicine shops, Fu's hands were filled with bags of herbs, all of which Zhou Donghuang urgently needed. These herbs were all used to improve the quality of the Qi Gathering elixir. No wonder this is the most prosperous city in the western ridge of the Chu King. After visiting more than 10 medicine shops, I have already gathered all the herbs needed to formulate a Qi Gathering elixir that increases the sensitivity to Qi by 9-fold. Walking on the streets of the Chu royal city, Zhou Donghuang thought to himself, "Now, I only need 2 more herbs to formulate a Qi Gathering elixir that increases the sensitivity to Qi by 10-fold. A Qi Gathering elixir that increases the sensitivity to Qi by 10-fold was already the ultimate Qi Gathering elixir. Of course, the ultimate Qi Gathering elixir was not the best medicine for adepts of the Qi Gathering to assist in their practice. If Zhou Donghuang were an adept of the primal core stage or above, he could use his inner yuan to condense the Samadhi fire to produce a Qi Gathering elixir that was even more effective than the Qi Gathering elixir. The inferior elixir could increase the sensitivity to Qi by 20 times, and the better ones could even increase the sensitivity to Qi by 30 times. But now, Zhou Donghuang's practice was limited, and the most he could do was produce an elixir like the ultimate Qi Gathering elixir to assist in his practice. I've already spent almost half of the 2 million liang of silver I brought with me this time. The herbs that Zhou Donghuang had bought earlier were all extremely rare herbs, and because of this they were also very expensive. Continuing to walk the streets and alleys of the Chu royal city, Zhou Donghuang looked around. The spaciousness of the streets of the Chu royal city, as well as the dense flow of people, made Zhou Donghuang deeply feel the prosperity of this city, which was incomparable to the prefecture capitals. Even the prefectural capitals of the superior-level prefectures could not compare to the Chu royal city, which was the capital of the Chu royal city. Of course, Zhou Donghuang only felt that the Chu royal city was more prosperous than the prefectural capitals, and he was not surprised by its prosperity. In his previous life he had traversed the universe and traveled to countless planets, and he had seen cities that were thousands or even tens of thousands of times larger than the Chu royal city. Compared to those cities that could be considered large-scale cities in the entire universe, a city like the Chu royal city could only be considered a tiny city. 100-Year Sea Lotus. After visiting a few more medicine shops, Zhou Donghuang finally found one of the last 2 herbs needed to formulate a qi-gathering elixir that could increase the sensitivity to qi by 10 times. "Sir, do you need it?" the medicine shop manager asked with a smile as he saw Zhou Donghuang staring fixedly at the 100-Year Sea Lotus. The medicine shop manager was a skinny middle-aged man with a mustache and a shrewd look in his eyes. "Yes." Zhou Donghuang nodded without hesitation and immediately asked Fu to pay. 100-Year Sea Lotus was worth 200,000 liang of silver. However, if Zhou Donghuang used it sparingly, this 100-Year Sea Lotus could easily formulate 100 bottles of qi-gathering elixir. "Sir, do you need anything else?" Seeing that Zhou Donghuang was so straightforward, the medicine shop manager naturally became very enthusiastic, and he could not wait for Zhou Donghuang to sweep up all the herbs in his medicine shop. "I don't need anything else at the moment." However, Zhou Donghuang had come to buy herbs with a specific purpose. He only needed the 100-Year Sea Lotus among the herbs in this medicine shop. Seeing this, although the medicine shop manager was a little disappointed, his enthusiasm did not diminish in the slightest. "Sir, if you have any needs you can let me know. I can also think of a way to get the herbs that I do not have in my medicine shop from other places." "Oh." Zhou Donghuang's eyes flashed and he said directly, "I do have a herb that I want, but I do not see it in your medicine shop." "Sir, may I know what herb it is?" the medicine shop manager asked. 10-Year Survival Herb," Zhou Donghuang said. Although the 10-Year Survival Herb was only 10 years old in terms of value, it was more valuable than the 100-Year Sea Lotus, because it was even rarer and rarer than the Sea Lotus. 10-Year Survival Herb? The medicine shop manager frowned slightly and then said with a bitter smile, "Sir, I just got a 10-Year Survival Herb yesterday, but I did not display it, because it has already been reserved. Not just mine, but all the 10-Year Survival grass in the medicine shops of the entire Chu royal city has been reserved by that person since half a year ago. Unless some shop is willing to risk ruining their reputation and sell it to you. Otherwise you will not be able to buy 10-Year Survival Herb in the Chu royal city." As he spoke, the medicine shop manager shook his head. "Who has reserved 10-Year Survival Herb?" Chapter 73. Grand Family. The Yang Family. Faced with Zhou Donghuang's question, the shopkeeper did not hide anything. "What do they need so much 10-Year Survival grass for?" Zhou Donghuang asked curiously. He was very familiar with the effects of 10-Year Survival grass, and no matter what elixir or liquid it was made into, it did not require too much. And the Grand Yang family had reserved all the 10-Year Survival grass from all the medicine shops in the Chu royal city since half a year ago. What did the Yang family need so much 10-Year Survival grass for? "They are extending the life of the patriarch of the Yang family." The shopkeeper shook his head and said, "The patriarch of the Yang family returned from a trip to the capital half a year ago, and was mysteriously poisoned. That poison continuously consumed his vitality. It is said that although the patriarch of the Yang family is only in his 40s, he looks like an old man in his 60s or 70s, his face full of wrinkles, his hair white and his aura weak. In the past half a year, if not for the 10-Year Survival grass, he would have died of old age due to the depletion of his vitality. However, in the past half a year, buying 10-Year Survival grass has depleted most of the Yang family's wealth. Now, the Yang family has sold many of their businesses in exchange for money to buy 10-Year Survival grass to extend the life of the patriarch of the Yang family." The shopkeeper said slowly. A stock of 10-Year Survival grass was worth 300,000 liang of silver, and purchasing it in large quantities was a huge pressure on the Grand Yang family. It seems that the patriarch of the Yang family is very important to the Yang family. For a family to deplete most of its wealth for him, it was not difficult for Zhou Donghuang to see how important the patriarch was to the Yang family. However, Zhou Donghuang felt that the Yang family's actions were a reckless waste of resources. The 10-year survival grass could be used in this way, but in his opinion, it was too wasteful. It was like consuming a 1,000-year fruit directly. Back then, the 1,000-year fruit that freezing wind had obtained could be consumed as 10,000-year fruits, maximizing the effect of the 1,000-year fruit. The 10-year survival grass could be used the same way in his hands. Of course. Hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, the shopkeeper nodded. Although the Yang family is a grand family among the grand families, they are at the bottom. The Yang family only has one level 6 adept, and that is the patriarch of the Yang family. With the death of the Yang family patriarch, the Yang family without a level 6 adept will be reduced to a preeminent family. And the Chu royal household does not allow non-grand families to develop businesses in the Chu royal city. So once the Yang family becomes a preeminent family, their businesses will also be taken away by the Chu royal household. Although they could sell off the properties of the Yang family's subordinates before the Yang family head dies, if they had a choice, who would be willing to kill the goose that lays the golden eggs? The shopkeeper's words also allowed Zhou Donghuang to understand the predicament that the Grand Yang family was currently facing. Almost as soon as the shopkeeper finished speaking, a pleasant voice came from the direction of the medicine shop's entrance. Shopkeeper who, it seems like you understand our Yang family's situation very well. The person who spoke was a young girl who had just entered the medicine shop, and behind her followed a middle-aged woman. The young girl was about 15 or 16 years old, with long hair that cascaded down her back. She wore a long yellow dress with a thin rose-red cardigan on the outside, and a purplish-red belt accentuated her slender waist perfectly. Of course, the most attractive thing about the young girl was not her clothes or her beautiful figure, but her beautiful, childish face. This young girl was the prettiest girl Zhou Donghuang had ever seen in his life. In terms of looks and temperament, she could even be compared to the daughters of the great families of the galaxies he had seen in his previous life. It had to be known that the proud daughters of the great clans of the star field might have ordinary fathers, but their mothers were all peerless beauties. As long as they inherited their mother's looks, they would basically not be bad. Miss Zishi. Hearing the voice and seeing the young girl, the shopkeeper smiled bitterly. He had not expected that the Yang family would come to his door to collect the 10-year survival grass just as he mentioned it. I'll go get the 10-year survival grass for you right now. After greeting the young girl, the shopkeeper turned around and walked into the medicine shop without waiting for her to speak. As he walked, he said to the young girl, 10-year survival grass? It was not difficult for Zhou Donghuang to guess that the young girl was from the Yang family, and that she was here to collect the 10-year survival grass that he wanted. As Zhou Donghuang was sizing up the young girl, she was sizing him up as well. He was dressed in white and had an outstanding aura. Even the direct descendants of the tycoon family she had seen before paled in comparison to this young man in front of her. She even felt that even the direct descendants of the Chu royal family might not be able to compare to this youth. Just as the young girl looked away, Zhou Donghuang asked, "Miss, is it convenient for me to meet the chief of the Yang family?" Hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, the young girl was taken aback. She looked at Zhou Donghuang and asked with a slight frown, "Why do you want to meet my uncle?" Zhou Donghuang understood her status in the Yang family from her words. The chief of the Yang family was the young girl's uncle. This meant that the young girl was a direct descendant of the Yang family. However, it made sense. To be able to represent the Yang family to collect the 10-year survival grass, which was worth 300,000 liang of silver, her status in the Yang family was definitely not ordinary. I know a thing or two about medicine and I know a lot about antidotes. I want to see what poison the chief of the Yang family is suffering from, and if I can cure it. Zhou Donghuang said directly. In his memories from his previous life, there were hundreds and thousands of different poisons that could cause the situation that the chief of the Yang family was in. As for what poison the chief of the Yang family was suffering from, he needed to see it with his own eyes before he could make a judgment. Of course, the main reason why he was so enthusiastic was because of the 10-year survival grass. You? The young girl looked Zhou Donghuang up and down, her face and eyes full of suspicion. Obviously, she did not think that a youth who did not look much older than her would have the ability to cure her uncle's poison. Young man, your flirting skills are not bad. Just then, the middle-aged woman behind the young girl spoke up. But, think about it, how old are you? No one would believe that you have the ability to cure our chief of the Yang family. Furthermore, we have invited 9 of the top 10 medicine masters of the Chu royal city to examine the poison, but none of them can do anything about it. You are just a youth, how can you compare to them? Do you really think my young mistress is stupid? As the middle-aged woman spoke, she put on an expression as if she had seen through Zhou Donghuang's intentions. Within the western ridge of the Chu King, there were no superior-level medicine masters. Although the top 10 medicine masters of the Chu royal city were only intermediate-level medicine masters, they were the cream of the crop. Any one of them who was willing to serve in the Chu royal household would be treated very well. However, even 9 of the top 10 medicine masters of the Chu royal city were helpless against the poison of the Yang family chief. Flirting? Zhou Donghuang laughed involuntarily. You think, what I said just now was to flirt with your young mistress? Isn't that so? The middle-aged woman looked as if she understood. I have to say your young mistress is indeed quite beautiful. In a few years she will definitely be a beauty in the western ridge of the Chu King. As Zhou Donghuang said this, the middle-aged woman's expression softened, and the young girl's lips curled up in a smile. However, when Zhou Donghuang's next words reached their ears, their expressions froze. But even so, it is not to the point where I, Zhou Donghuang, will initiate a conversation. Zhou Donghuang said lightly. You? Just as the middle-aged woman was exasperated, Zhou Donghuang glanced at her calmly and said unhurriedly, your body has been overworked. Every 3 days at most, there will be a continuous pain in your back for at least 2 hours. Hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, the middle-aged woman's eyes narrowed, and her face was filled with shock. How did this youth know about this? After all, there were definitely no more than 3 people who knew about this, including herself. Even her young mistress did not know. And you? Zhou Donghuang's calm gaze very quickly shifted from the middle-aged woman to the young girl. However, he did not say this directly in front of Fu and the woman. Instead, he walked up to the young girl and said in a voice that only the young girl could hear, in the past 6 months, your menstruation has been irregular. Recently, it has been at least 2 months, right? As a virgin, it is normal for your menstruation to occur once a month. If I am not wrong, it is because of your uncle's poison that you have been overthinking, causing your internal heat to build up. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhou Donghuang had already retreated. A look of shock appeared on the young girl's face, because her situation had been completely guessed by the youth in white before her. At that moment, the young girl and the middle-aged woman looked at each other in disbelief. Miss Zishi, this is the 10-year survival grass. Please check it. At the same time, the owner of the medicine shop walked out from the inner room of the medicine shop and handed a brocade box to the young girl. The young girl opened the brocade box and looked at the stalk of grass lying inside. She nodded and said, yes, it is the 10-year survival grass. Although the stalk of grass in the brocade box had been removed from the soil, it was still green. This was a characteristic of the survival grass. This stalk of grass had a total of 10 leaves, and each leaf represented 1 year. It was clearly a 10-year survival grass. Chapter 74. Just now, Yang Zishi's attention had been completely diverted by the 10-year survival grass that the medicine shop owner had taken out. Now, hearing the young man's words and thinking of what the young man had just said in her ear, the blush on her cheeks did not even have time to fade before it turned even redder. A youth of her age talking to her about that matter made her extremely shy. However, what the young man had just said was her personal privacy. Other than her, no one else knew about it. Aunt May, what he said about your situation just now, was it also correct? Yang Zishi softly asked the woman behind her. When she saw the latter nod, she looked at the youth and said, we're going back to the Yang family now. You can come with us. The instant her gaze landed on the youth, Yang Zishi sheepishly withdrew her gaze. The youth's words had broken her privacy, causing her to feel a little ashamed. I have one condition, Zhou Donghuang said. Just as the middle-aged woman frowned and was about to flare up, Yang Zishi asked, what conditions? If I can cure the Yang family chief's poison, I want the 10-year survival herb in your hands. Of course, if you can't decide, I can follow you back to the Yang family and let the person with authority decide. I can decide that. A glimmer of hope appeared in Yang Zishi's eyes. If you can cure my uncle of the poison, the 10-year survival grass is just a small matter. The Yang family will definitely not mistreat you in other aspects. I only need the 10-year survival grass, Zhou Donghuang said. In a moment, Zhou Donghuang brought Fu and followed Yang Zishi and his servant out of the medicine shop to the Yang family. Although the Yang family was a grand family, its mansion was much smaller than the mansion of the other grand family, the Wu family, which Zhou Donghuang had visited before. Of course he could understand this. After all, this was the capital of the western ridge of the Chu King, and not the capital of a prefecture. The reason why the Grand Wu family estate occupied such a large area was not only because it was a prefecture capital, but also because the Wu family estate was also the governor's residence of Guangling Prefecture. As the number one family of Guangling Prefecture, the governor's household of Guangling Prefecture, the Wu family's residence in Guangling Prefecture was naturally not shabby. Miss Zishi. After entering the Yang family mansion, the people they met along the way, whether they were maids or Yang family branch disciples, all respectfully bowed to Yang Zishi. Up ahead is my uncle's residence. Very quickly Yang Zishi and his servant brought Zhou Donghuang and his servant to the Yang family chief's residence, a spacious courtyard. Currently there were 3 people standing in the courtyard. A middle-aged man, a young man, and an old man standing respectfully behind the young man. The middle-aged man was wearing a loose gray robe with golden edges. He was pacing back and forth in front of a room in the courtyard. His face was full of solemnity, and it was obvious that he was somewhat restless. The young man appeared to be in his early 20s. He wore a brocade robe and his face was handsome yet cold. There seemed to be an innate arrogance between his brows. It was not difficult to see that he was a disciple of an extraordinary family. As for the old man behind the young man, he was just an old servant by his side. He had white hair and a skinny face, but his eyes were bright and full of expression. Third uncle. Yang Zishi walked into the courtyard first and bowed to the middle-aged man who was pacing in front of a room in the courtyard. Zishi. Hearing the voice, the middle-aged man looked at Yang Zishi with a kind smile on his face. Have you retrieved the 10-year survival grass? Yang Zishi nodded. Sister Zishi. At the same time the young man's gaze also fell on Yang Zishi. The cold expression on his handsome face disappeared at this moment and was replaced by a warm smile. However, in the face of the young man's warmth, Yang Zishi only greeted him coldly, "Young master sure." It was obvious that Yang Zishi not only disliked this young man, but even repulsed him. However, the young man did not seem to mind, and the smile on his face did not change. That was until he noticed Zhou Donghuang who had followed Yang Zishi in. Zhou Donghuang was dressed in a robe whiter than snow, and his handsome face completely outshone the young man. In particular, Zhou Donghuang's cold aura was like the first bloom of a lotus, giving off a mysterious and ethereal feeling. Whether in terms of appearance or aura, the young man paled in comparison to Zhou Donghuang. He was completely crushed. Sister Zishi, this is? The young man looked at Zhou Donghuang, his eyes flashing coldly. This was the first time he had seen a man so close to Yang Zishi. Yang Zishi was the woman he fancied, and it was not easy for him to get so close to Yang Zishi. Therefore, his cold eyes revealed a threatening look. However, Zhou Donghuang ignored it. Third uncle. At the same time, Yang Zishi glanced at Zhou Donghuang and introduced him to the middle-aged man. This is Medicine Master Zhou, whom I brought back from outside. He is here to treat eldest uncle. With that, she introduced the middle-aged man to Zhou Donghuang. Medicine Master Zhou, this is my third uncle, the third master of the Yang family, Yang Yunchong. Medicine Master Zhou? Yang Yunchong looked Zhou Donghuang up and down, his face full of surprise. It was not difficult for him to see that the youth before him was at most 16 or 17 years old, not much older than his niece, Yang Zishi. However, at this age, even if he had studied medicine, he would at most be an inferior-level medicine master. But he knew his niece well, and she was not a rash person. Since he had brought Zhou Donghuang back, it meant that he had to have some redeeming qualities, so he greeted him with a smile. Medicine Master Zhou. Zhou Donghuang nodded slightly in response to Yang Yunchong's greeting. A burst of mocking laughter resounded without any warning. It was the young man standing at the side, looking at Zhou Donghuang with a mocking smile. Kid, at your age you are at most an inferior-level medicine master? You are just an inferior-level medicine master. And you dare to talk nonsense about treating Patriarch Yang? Do you know that Patriarch Yang's illness is not a minor illness, but that he has been poisoned? Now, I have already invited Medicine Master Xiao, one of the top 10 medicine masters of the Chu Royal City, to treat Chief Yang and detoxify him. There is no need for you here, you may leave. Medicine Master Xiao? Yang Zishi could not help but exclaim, then looked at Yang Yunchong. Third uncle, is Medicine Master Xiao inside treating eldest uncle? Yang Yunchong smiled and nodded. Medicine Master Xiao has been away for more than a year, and has just returned today when he was invited here by young Master Shi. Although Medicine Master Xiao is not the best medicine master among the top 10 medicine masters in the Chu Royal City, he is the best at treating poisons. In terms of treating poisons, even the superior-level medicine master of the imperial court may not be able to compare to him. With him around, there is great hope for Big Brother's poison. At this point, Yang Yunchong paused, then smiled bitterly and said, if even he can't do anything, then there is no way to cure Big Brother's poison. Hearing Yang Yunchong's last words, Yang Zishi's expression became solemn and he muttered, there will be a way. Medicine Master Xiao will definitely find a way. Kid, did you hear that? At the same time, the young man looked at Zhou Donghuang with a mocking smile and said, if even Medicine Master Xiao can't cure Patriarch Yang, then as an inferior-level medicine master, there is no way you can. However, whether it was just now or now, Zhou Donghuang did not even look at the young man. Even if the young man continued to mock him, Zhou Donghuang ignored him. You dare to ignore me, Shiryu? Seeing that Zhou Donghuang was ignoring him, Shiryu's expression turned ugly. He, Shiryu, was the first young master of the Tycoon Shi family, the successor of the Shi family's next patriarch. Even the patriarch of the Grand Yang family had to address him respectfully as Young Master Shi. Creak. Just as Shiryu was about to explode in anger, the door to the room in front opened, and an elderly figure walked out slowly. This was an old man in a gray robe of medium build. Although his hair and eyebrows were all white, he looked like he was only 40 or 50 years old. Medicine Master Xiao. Seeing the old man come out, Yang Yunchong hurried forward and asked with a serious expression, can the poison in my big brother be cured? Yang Zishi, who had followed Yang Yunchong, looked at the old man with clenched fists, her eyes filled with anticipation. Shiryu glanced coldly at Zhou Donghuang, then walked towards the old man. Third Master Yang, I can't tell what kind of poison Patriarch Yang has been poisoned with, but the poison is extremely terrifying. Moreover, it has already permeated Patriarch Yang's entire body. In the past 6 months, if it wasn't for the 10-year survival grass, Patriarch Yang would have died 4 months ago. The old man shook his head. Furthermore, the constant supply of 10-year survival grass has caused Chief Yang's body to develop a strong resistance to it. At most, he can take 1 or 2 10-year survival grass, and it will not have any effect on Chief Yang. 1 month. Chief Yang can only hold on for 1 more month. Prepare for his funeral. The old man sighed. What? Yang Yunchong's expression changed. He had not expected such an outcome. Yang Zishi's face turned extremely pale, and her body went limp, almost collapsing to the ground. Luckily, the lady behind her caught her in time. Just then Zhou Donghuang made his move. He walked past them and entered the room that the old man had just come out of. Chem? The old man was taken aback and looked at Yang Yunchong doubtfully. Third Master Yang, who was that? Chapter 75. An inferior-level medicine master? Hearing Shiryu's words, Medicine Master Zhao's expression changed, and he looked sternly at Yang Yunchong. Third Master Yang, was that youth really there to treat Chief Yang's illness? Medicine Master Xiao. Yang Yunchong was a little embarrassed. After all, if he were in Medicine Master Zhao's shoes, he would definitely be unhappy, but he still nodded in the end. After all, that youth was someone his niece, Yang Zishi, had brought back to treat his big brother. He could not possibly chase after him and chase him away now, could he? Although he did not think that the youth could cure his big brother's poison, since the old man before him could do nothing, there was no harm in letting him try. Medicine Master Xiao, that Medicine Master Zhou who just went in, is quite capable. Just then, the middle-aged woman behind the young girl spoke. Oh. Medicine Master Xiao was so angry that he laughed. He looked at the woman with interest and asked, then I'd like to hear, just what kind of ability does that 16 or 17-year-old kid have? Medicine Master Xiao, you are an intermediate-level medicine master, so if I may be so bold as to ask if you can tell what illness I have just by looking at me? The woman asked. Previously, in the medicine shop, the youth in white had only taken a few glances at her to be able to tell that she had an unmentionable illness, and he had even described her condition clearly. She had not even heard of the top 10 medicine masters of the Chu royal city having such ability. How could he tell what illness you have just by looking at you? Medicine Master Xiao said calmly. Unless it's a visible illness, even the superior-level medicine master of the imperial court would not be able to tell with just a few glances. Are you trying to tell me that kid who just went in was able to tell what illness you have just by looking at you? Medicine Master Xiao said with a mocking smile. That's right. The woman nodded seriously. He just looked at me a few times and was able to tell. Ridiculous. However, Medicine Master Xiao did not believe her at all. After looking at her as if she was an idiot, he looked at Yang Yunchong and said, Third Master Yang, from today onwards I, Xiao Qin, will not step into the Yang family, nor will I have any cooperation with the Yang family. Even if someone from the Yang clan dies of illness in front of me, I won't help them. With that, Medicine Master Xiao snorted coldly, flicked his sleeves and left. This? Yang Yunchong smiled bitterly. Sure you, is this what you want? Are you satisfied now? Yang Zishi's eyes were filled with anger as she stared at Shiryu. Her face was filled with hostility. If not for Shiryu fanning the flames and stirring up trouble, Medicine Master Xiao would not have been so hostile toward the Yang clan and even threatened not to work with the Yang clan or treat the Yang clan anymore. Sister Zishi, how can you blame me? Everything I said was the truth. If you hadn't brought that kid to the Yang family, Medicine Master Xiao wouldn't have met him. Shiryu shook his head. Young Master Sure, you can't blame Zishi for this. Yang Yunchong sighed. After all, she doesn't know that Medicine Master Xiao is here. After sighing, he began to console young Zishi. Zishi, don't take it to heart. Medicine Master Xiao has never worked with the Yang family, and even if he wanted to work with other families, he wouldn't be interested in us. As for the Yang family not seeking him for treatment, there are plenty of medicine masters in the Chu royal city, so it's fine even if they don't seek him out. Third uncle, you don't have to console me, this is indeed my fault. Yang Zishi sighed, but there was a hint of hope in her eyes. Because, as one of the top 10 medicine masters of the Chu royal city, Medicine Master Xiao had actually said that even the superior-level medicine master of the imperial court would not be able to detect a person's hidden illness just by looking at the surface. Didn't this mean that even the superior-level medicine master of the imperial court would not be able to detect her minor illnesses with just a few glances? That medicine master Zhou should be quite capable. I just don't know if he has a way to cure eldest uncle's poison. Although this was what she thought, Yang Zishi did not have much hope, because Medicine Master Xiao had also said that eldest uncle's poison had already entered his vitals. At this thought, Yang Zishi's face was filled with disappointment, and there was a look of pain and indignation in the depths of her eyes. She had lost her parents when she was young, and it was eldest uncle who had raised her. In her eyes, eldest uncle was no different from her father, except that they addressed each other differently. Because of this, ever since her eldest uncle had been poisoned half a year ago, she had been unable to sleep at night, and her body had also developed the minor illnesses that the youth had identified. Let's see if he has a way. Just as Yang Zishi led the woman behind her into the room, and Shiryu and Yang Yunchong were about to follow. Two hurried voices suddenly rang out, causing them to subconsciously stop in their tracks. Third Master, I heard that young Master Shi has brought Medicine Master Xiao over, what's the situation? Third Master, Medicine Master Xiao is the best at curing poisons among the top 10 medicine masters of the Chu royal city. Does he have a way? Accompanying the two voices were two old men. One was fat and the other was thin, but their facial features were extremely similar. The fat one slimmed down and the thin one slimmed down. They were almost exactly the same. Head elder, second elder. Seeing the two old men walk into the courtyard, Yang Yunchong hurried forward to greet them. The two men were the Lu family's head elder Yang Ping and second elder Yang En. They were twin brothers and at the same time, they were level 5 adepts of the Qi gathering, second only to the patriarch of the Yang family. Greetings, elders. Just as Yang Ping and Yang En were staring at Yang Yunchong, Shiryu spoke up. Medicine Master Xiao is unable to cure the Yang family chief's poison. Only then did Yang Ping and Yang En notice Shiryu, but before they could greet him, their expressions changed at Shiryu's words. Even Medicine Master Xiao, who was said to be as good at curing poisons as the superior-level medicine master of the imperial court, was unable to cure the Yang family chief? Didn't that mean that there was no way to cure the poison in the Yang family chief? Just then Yang Yunchong spoke up. Head elder, second elder. Medicine Master Xiao said that Big Brother has consumed too much 10-year survival grass and has developed a resistance to it. After 1 or 2 more 10-year survival grass, the 10-year survival grass will be useless to him. Hearing Yang Yunchong's words, Yang Ping and Yang An's expressions darkened even further. Does the heavens really want the Yang family to become a preeminent family again? After a moment, Yang Ping recovered and sighed with a bitter smile. Two elders. At the same time, Shiryu continued, Medicine Master Xiao not only said that he was unable to cure the Yang family chief, before he left, he even said that he would never work with the Yang family in the future, and that he would not treat anyone from the Yang family. Even if someone from the Yang family died in front of him, he would not care. Yang Yunchong frowned slightly. He had not expected that Shiryu would still be fanning the flames at this time. Of course, Shiryu was the first young master of the Tycoon Shi family, and even Yang Yunchong did not dare to offend him. Therefore, although he was displeased, he did not say anything. What? What's going on? Hearing Shiryu's words, both Yang Ping and Yang An's expressions changed once again. When they understood the ins and outs of the matter from Shiryu, their expressions became even uglier. Preposterous. A youth of at most 16 or 17 years old, at most an inferior-level medicine master, how could he have the ability to cure the Yang family chief? I used to think that Lady Zishi was quite reliable, but how could she be so muddle-headed in this matter? With that, Yang Ping and Yang An walked into the room where the Yang family chief was staying. Immediately, Yang Yunchong and Shiryu, as well as the old servant behind Shiryu, followed. Inside the room, an old man who looked to be in his 60s or 70s was lying on the bed. And he was the current chief of the Yang family, Yang Yunji. The old man's face was thin and wrinkled, and it was impossible to tell that he was only in his 40s. Yang Yunji was only 47 years old this year. Zhou Donghuang stood in front of the bed and looked at Yang Yunji calmly. After a round of diagnosis and treatment, he already had a very clear understanding of the situation in Yang Yunji's body. The patriarch of the Yang clan had been poisoned by a snake. Moreover, this snake poison was left behind by an extremely rare venomous snake. Patriarch Yang, you've been poisoned by the venom left behind by the Datura snake. Zhou Donghuang told Yang Yunji. Shameless boasting. Just as Zhou Donghuang finished speaking, an elderly voice rang out in the room, and two old men, one fat and one skinny, entered the room one after the other. The person who spoke was the fat old man who had walked in first. First elder, second elder. Seeing the two old men, one fat and one thin, Yang Zishi hurriedly saluted them respectfully. Miss Zishi, how could you bring such a young boy back to treat the family head? Now you've offended Medicine Master Xiao. Yang In, who followed behind Yang Ping, looked at Yang Zishi and frowned slightly. Although we can look for other pharmacists to treat our family. But what if someone was accidentally poisoned? Medicine Master Xiao's specialty is detoxification. His ability to detoxify is unparalleled in the entire country of Yunyang. Today the Yang family has offended him, and this is undoubtedly a huge problem. As he spoke, Yang An's tone darkened slightly. Before Yang Zishi could speak, Fu, who was standing behind Zhou Donghuang, could not help but burst out laughing. This medicine master Xiao that you speak of, he can't even detoxify your chief's poison, and he dares to say that he's an expert in detoxification? What a joke. Just as Yang An was glaring at Fu, Yang Ping looked at Zhou Donghuang unkindly. Boy, after our chief was poisoned, there were no snake bites on his body. On what basis do you say that he was poisoned by a snake? Chapter 76. If you haven't heard of it, then I can only say that you are ignorant. Zhou Donghuang had not intended to bother with the head elder of the Yang family, but seeing that he could not stop once he started talking, Zhou Donghuang looked at him disdainfully and said calmly. The Datura snake was a very rare venomous snake. The Datura snake was different from other venomous snakes that poison people by biting them. It breathed venom through its nose, causing people to unknowingly breathe it in and be poisoned. As Yang Ping's expression changed, Zhou Donghuang looked at the Yang family chief Yang Yunji, who was lying on the bed, and said calmly, I can cure the snake venom in the Yang family chief. As soon as Zhou Donghuang said this, the entire room fell silent. Even the head elder of the Yang family, Yang Ping, who had been prepared to reprimand Zhou Donghuang, shut his mouth tightly at this moment. He looked at Zhou Donghuang in disbelief, his eyes shining with suspicion. This young man said that he could cure the poison in the Yang family chief? Medicine Master Zhou, is this true? Yang Yunchong, who had just entered the room, heard Zhou Donghuang's words and was the first to recover from his shock. He asked Zhou Donghuang with a serious expression. If my young master says he can cure it, naturally he can. Fu, who was standing behind Zhou Donghuang, said impatiently when he saw that there was still someone questioning his young master. In his eyes, his young master was like a god, omnipotent. Someone doubting his young master was an insult to his beliefs, and he could not tolerate it. Medicine Master Zhou, please cure my uncle. Yang Zishi looked at Zhou Donghuang excitedly after she recovered. Although they had not known each other for long, it was not difficult for her to see that Zhou Donghuang was not someone who spoke without thinking. Medicine Master Zhou, can you really cure my poison? Yang Yunji, who was lying on the bed, tried hard to open his eyes, and there was a rare glimmer of hope in his dim gaze. I don't want to repeat what I said a second time. Zhou Donghuang glanced at Yang Yunji, then looked at Yang Zishi and said, I need 36 2-inch long pure gold needles. The thinner the better, and they must not be bent at all. Prepare them in 3 days. I can completely cure the snake venom in his body in 10 days. Zhou Donghuang said. Before Yang Zishi could say anything, Yang Yunchong looked at Yang En and said, Second elder, you're in charge of the family's gold shop. Please prepare the golden needles that Medicine Master Zhou mentioned. All right. Yang En answered and left. Although he didn't really believe that this young man could cure the Yang family head's poison, even Medicine Master Shao couldn't do anything about it. He could only try his best. Fu, pen and paper. When Fu took out a pen and paper and handed it to Zhou Donghuang wrote down the names and quantities of a bunch of herbs and handed it to Yang Zishi. Gather all of these herbs within 3 days. After I detoxify the poison in your Yang family head, I'll need to use these herbs to boil soup for him to drink. With this medicinal soup, when the snake venom in his body is completely cleared, it will also be the day his body recovers to its peak. Zhou Donghuang said. I'll take care of it. The head elder of the Yang family, Yang Ping, took the prescription from Yang Zishi's hands and left without looking back. This concerned the health of the Yang family head and the rise and fall of the Yang family. Even if he didn't really believe this young man, he was still prepared to follow his instructions and give it a try. If it worked, everyone would be happy. If it didn't work, he could settle the score with the young man later. In 3 days, I want to see how he will cure the Yang family head of the poison. Shi Yu, who had followed Yang Yunchong into the room, snorted when he saw that everyone in the Yang family believed the young man's words. He turned and left the Yang family with his old servant. Medicine Master Zhou, are you staying far from the Yang family? If not, why don't you stay here for the next 3 days? Yang Yunchong looked at Zhou Donghuang and asked. He had brought this up because he was worried that the young man in front of him might not be able to find him after making such a big promise. If the young man was willing to stay, he would undoubtedly believe what the young man had just said. I just arrived in the Chu royal city and am temporarily staying at an inn, Zhou Donghuang said lightly. Zhou Donghuang said lightly, that inn is quite a distance from here. Yang Yunchong's eyes lit up, and he took advantage of the opportunity to extend an invitation. Medicine Master Zhou, why don't you get someone to check out of the inn? The environment of the Yang family's guest rooms is much better than that inn's. Yang Yunchong stared at Zhou Donghuang. That's good. Zhou Donghuang nodded. Seeing Zhou Donghuang agree so readily, Yang Yunchong could not help but feel excited, because this also meant that the young man was most likely someone with real ability. Otherwise he would not have agreed to stay in the Yang family. Zishi, go with Auntie Mei to arrange a guest room for Medicine Master Zhou. Next, Yang Yunchong left the task of arranging Zhou Donghuang to Yang Zishi. Yang Zishi now saw Zhou Donghuang as her uncle's only hope. She warmly brought Zhou Donghuang to the guest rooms and specially arranged the best courtyard for Zhou Donghuang. Medicine Master Zhou, you said you just arrived in the Chu royal city? You're not from the Chu royal city? Yang Zishi asked curiously. No. Zhou Donghuang shook his head. Medicine Master Zhou, I see that you are only 1 or 2 years older than me. Why don't I call you Brother Zhou? You don't have to call me Miss Yang, just call me Zishi. Yang Zishi smiled. Zhou Donghuang nodded slightly. To him it did not matter what he called her. Brother Zhou, how should I treat it? Thinking of the unmentionable illness that the young man had mentioned, Yang Zishi asked shyly. Her cheeks had once again turned bright red, and her lovely appearance was pitiful. It's just a minor illness. When the golden needles are ready, I'll give you a few injections and you'll be cured, Zhou Donghuang said casually. Zhou Donghuang said nonchalantly, however, you still need to adjust your work, rest, and mood to ensure that it doesn't relapse. As for you? Zhou Donghuang's gaze quickly fell on the woman behind the young girl. Tomorrow morning, come and get the prescription. Take it according to my prescription for 3 days and your pain will lessen. Take it for a month and your unmentionable illness will be cured. Zhou Donghuang said. Thank you, Medicine Master Zhou. The woman thanked him profusely, her face full of joy. Anime, you go ahead. I'll stay here and talk to Big Brother Zhou. The young girl said to the woman. Yes, Mississippi, the woman acknowledged and left. After the woman left, the young girl was about to kneel before Zhou Donghuang, but Zhou Donghuang stopped her in time. He frowned and asked, What are you doing? Big Brother Zhou, I want to thank you for curing my uncle. The girl said. You don't have to thank me. Zhou Donghuang shook his head. I helped cure Chief Yang of the poison only for the sake of your family's 10-year survival grass. It was not for free. Big brother Zhou, let alone one stalk of 10-year survival grass, even if it were 10 stalks, the Yang family would not be able to repay your kindness. The young girl said seriously, you saved my uncle, which is equivalent to saving the entire Yang family. If her uncle were to die from this poison, the entire Yang family would be reduced from a grand family to a preeminent family, losing its former glory. Of course, she did not care whether the Yang family was a grand family or a preeminent family. As long as her uncle was safe, even if the Yang family was reduced to a lesser family, she could accept it. All she cared about was her uncle's safety. Furthermore, this kneel of mine is not on behalf of the Yang family, but on behalf of myself. Finally, the young girl insisted on kneeling and bowed to Zhou Donghuang. My parents died when I was young, and it was my uncle who raised me. In my eyes, he is my father. Seeing the stubbornness on the young girl's face, even Zhou Donghuang could not help but be moved. In front of this young girl, Chen Dandan was not even human. Don't worry. In half a month, your uncle will be safe and sound. Zhou Donghuang helped the young girl up. When he spoke again, his tone was not as cold as before but much gentler. In some ways the young girl resonated with him and gained his approval. Thank you, big brother Zhou. Ever since Yang Zishi could remember, this was the first time she had been so close to a man. Instantly, the blush on her cheeks became more pronounced. At the same time she felt a little strange. Normally, she would be extremely disgusted by those good-for-nothings like Shiryu and avoid them. However, she didn't feel the slightest bit of disgust towards the youth before her. So much so that when the young man helped her up and let go of her to take a step back, she felt an inexplicable sense of loss in her heart. Because, when the young man helped her up, she did not know why, but she felt a strong sense of security. It was as if she was beside the young man. Even if the sky fell down, she would not be afraid. Once the young man left, this sense of security disappeared. At that moment, she felt as if she had become a lone boat in the vast ocean, alone and without anyone to rely on. Brother Zhou, where are you from? Furthermore, the young man's abilities made Yang Zishi respect him from the bottom of her heart. She was very curious as to where this young man had come from. Yunfeng Prefecture. Zhou Donghuang said. Yunfeng Prefecture? Yang Zishi was taken aback, because she had never heard of such a prefecture. She had heard of all the prefectures in the country of Yunyang, whether they were superior or intermediate prefectures. She only did not know much about the inferior prefectures. Brother Zhou, you are not from the country of Yunyang? Yang Zishi did not think that Zhou Donghuang was from an inferior prefecture, because she felt that an inferior prefecture could not possibly produce someone like Zhou Donghuang. Chapter 77. Yunfeng Prefecture is just an inferior prefecture. It's normal that you have not heard of it. Zhou Donghuang smiled. Seeing the young girl's reaction, it was not difficult for him to tell that she had not heard of Yunfeng Prefecture. Inferior prefecture? Hearing the youth's words, Yang Zishi's face froze. Her dazed expression was very cute, and Zhou Donghuang could not help but look at her a few more times. Zhou Donghuang nodded. I set off from the capital of Yunfeng Prefecture and traveled for more than 5 months before arriving at the Chu royal city. Back then, he had left the capital of Yunfeng Prefecture on the 1st of April 1228 of the Ziyun era. And today was already the 10th of September 1228 of the Ziyun era. More than 5 months. I wonder how Mother and Xiao Lu are doing? Thinking of Lin Lan and Yun Lu, Zhou Donghuang's face showed a rare gentleness, and Yang Zishi could not help but feel jealous. Ever since she had met the youth before her, he had always been cold and did not like to speak, as if he did not care about anything. But now, he seemed to have thought of someone, and a gentle expression like water actually appeared on his indifferent face. Brother Zhou, are you thinking of sister-in-law? Yang Zishi asked tentatively, and as soon as the words left her mouth, she regretted it. She even felt it was strange that she had suddenly asked such a question. At that moment, she could not help but feel awkward, and she lowered her head, not daring to look at the youth again. Sister-in-law? Zhou Donghuang was stunned for a moment, then shook his head. Just now, I was thinking of my mother and sister. Are they in Yunfeng Prefecture now? Yang Zishi's eyes lit up. Only now did she realize that she had misunderstood. But even she did not know why she had been jealous just now. Was it because the youth was not like other men of the same age who fawned over her like stars surrounding the moon? Zhou Donghuang nodded. She chatted with Zhou Donghuang for a while until Fu returned. Only then did the young lady reluctantly bid farewell to Zhou Donghuang. Big brother Zhou, I'll go back first. I won't disturb you any longer. Yang Zishi rarely chatted so much with others. Even she did not know why a youth she had met on their first day could make her feel so good about him. The young man seemed to have an innate charm. What she did not know was that although Zhou Donghuang had the body of a young man, his memories spanned thousands of years. Under such circumstances, the aura he exuded was not something his peers could have. Zhou Donghuang's aura, as well as his usual aloofness, was extremely lethal to a young girl who had just experienced love. All right. Zhou Donghuang nodded and watched the girl leave. He only retracted his gaze when she disappeared from his sight. Young master. After the girl left, Fu looked at Zhou Donghuang with a smile. Have you taken a liking to Lady Zishi? What nonsense are you spouting? Zhou Donghuang glared at Fu and asked unhappily, did you bring everything from the inn? I brought them all. Apart from the carriage pulled by the 3 Fergana horses and the dark steel heavy spear, there's nothing else that needs to be brought over. Fu nodded and continued with a smile, young master, I think Lady Zishi is not bad. The Yang family disciple who sent me to the inn told me quite a bit about her. She is a good girl who knows how to repay kindness with kindness. To a certain extent, she is even more competent than the biological daughter of the Yang family chief. In this aspect, Chindandan, who betrayed Madame, cannot compare. Although Fu had not experienced Chindandan's situation, he knew that there was a person who had disregarded his Madame's upbringing and betrayed his Madame in a cruel way. Chindandan? Hearing Fu mention Chindandan, Zhou Donghuang's expression darkened, and his eyes flashed coldly. She is not fit to be compared to Zishi. Young master, I still don't understand. Back then, when we reached the capital of Yunfeng Prefecture, we could have gone to the Hong family and humiliated Chindandan, or even killed her. But you did not go. Fu asked the question that had been bothering him for a long time. Humiliating her, killing her, it was all very simple. But I did not intend to do that to her in the Hong family or in Yunfeng Prefecture. Zhou Donghuang's eyes flashed coldly. The higher she stands, the harder she falls. Now I'll let her go higher. When she can't go higher anymore, I'll let her fall down. The pain then will make her feel even more deeply. As he spoke, Zhou Donghuang grinned. His smile was so evil that Fu could not help but feel a chill run down his spine. In his previous life, when Zhou Donghuang left Earth and returned to Ziyun, he had looked for Chindandan. In the end, he had discovered Chindandan had not died of old age in the capital of Yunfeng Prefecture of Yunyang Country, but in the small sect called the Valley of the Medicine Masters, which was superior to Yunyang Country. After some investigation, he had found out. It turned out that Chindandan's biological father was actually the second elder of the Valley of the Medicine Masters, Qin Tianhe. Chindandan was the illegitimate daughter of the second elder of the Valley of the Medicine Masters, Qin Tianhe. She had wandered into the inferior Yunfeng Prefecture of Yunyang Country and had been adopted by his mother, Lin Lan. Later, it was the preeminent Hong family of Yunfeng Prefecture who had sent her to the Valley of the Medicine Masters to reunite with her father. It's better to end things with her in the Valley of the Medicine Masters than in Yunfeng Prefecture. It was because of this that Zhou Donghuang had not rushed to the Hong family to look for Chindandan when he had first arrived in the capital of Yunfeng Prefecture. He had planned to go to the Valley of the Medicine Masters to settle the score with Chindandan in the future. After Chindandan has obtained the identity of the daughter of the second elder of the Valley of the Medicine Masters, when she is at her peak, I will destroy everything she has, plunge her into endless despair and regret, and then kill her. Only then will I be able to dispel the hatred in my heart. This was Zhou Donghuang's plan. Otherwise, when he had been in the capital of Yunfeng Prefecture, he could have gone straight to the Hong family to humiliate and kill Chindandan. Chindandan, you should be thankful that you have a biological father who is the second elder of the Valley of the Medicine Masters. Otherwise, you would have been dead in the capital of Yunfeng Prefecture. Zhou Donghuang's eyes flashed coldly, and he laughed coldly in his heart. Ziyun era year 1228 early morning. Brother Zhou. 2 days later, Yang Zishi came to look for Zhou Donghuang. Second elder has already prepared the golden needles that you requested, and head elder has also gathered the herbs that you requested. Can you start treating my uncle today? The young girl looked at Zhou Donghuang expectantly. That second elder of the Yang family is quite efficient. Zhou Donghuang smiled lightly. Let's go together. Yesterday Yang Zishi had come to chat with him and even brought him around the Yang family household. After 2 days he had developed a good impression of this straightforward and grateful young girl. Not long after, Zhou Donghuang and Yang Zishi once again arrived at the residence of the chief of the Yang family, Yang Yunji. In the courtyard of Yang Yunji's residence, the third master of the Yang family, Yang Yunchong, the head elder of the Yang family, Yang Ping, and the second elder of the Yang family, Yang En, were already waiting there. In addition, Shiyu was also present. These 2 days in his conversations with Yang Zishi had also mentioned Shiyu, so Zhou Donghuang knew who he was. Shiyu was the first young master of the Tycoon Shi family of the Chu royal city. Although the Shi family was at the bottom of the Tycoon families, they had a level 8 adept in their ranks, and a grand family like the Yang family could not compare to them. And the reason why Shiyu was so diligent in visiting the Yang family was because of Yang Zishi. He wanted to marry Yang Zishi. In fact, he had already proposed marriage to the chief of the Yang family, Yang Yunji, and Yang Yunji had been tempted, but Yang Zishi had rejected him harshly, even threatening to kill himself. Seeing this, Yang Yunji did not dare to force him further, and could only let nature take its course. From Yang Zishi, Zhou Donghuang found out that Shiyu was a spoiled brat, and in the Chu royal city, many good-looking girls from ordinary families had been ruined by him. No less than 100 girls had chosen to commit suicide because of his infidelity. On the planet of Ziyun, the people were simple and conservative, and girls who had their chastity ruined would not be able to marry again unless they came from a powerful family. Because of this, Yang Zishi hated Shiyu very much, but in order not to implicate the Yang family, she did not dare to offend him. Sister Zishi. Seeing Zhou Donghuang and Yang Zishi walk side by side, Shiyu looked at Zhou Donghuang coldly, but when he looked at Yang Zishi, his face was full of smiles. However, Yang Zishi only glanced at him coldly and ignored him. Shiyu was already used to this and did not mind. But when his gaze returned to Zhou Donghuang, he could not help but laugh coldly. Rascal, I didn't expect you to really dare to come. I want to see how you can cure a poison that even Medicine Master Xiao, one of the top 10 medicine masters of the Chu royal city, cannot. As he spoke, Shiyu's face was full of schadenfreude. However, from beginning to end, Zhou Donghuang did not even look at Shiyu as he walked into the courtyard and looked at Yang Yunchong and the other two. Where are the golden needles? Here. The second elder of the Yang family, Yang En, handed the embroidered box to Zhou Donghuang. Zhou Donghuang opened it and immediately saw 36 2-inch-long golden needles neatly arranged in the box. The golden needles were very thin, and even compared to embroidery thread, they were not much thicker. Medicine Master Zhou, can I? Yang Yunchong, the third master of the Yang family, asked Zhou Donghuang nervously. Only when he saw Zhou Donghuang nod did he heave a sigh of relief. Other than Zishi, the rest wait outside. Just as Zhou Donghuang entered the room with the embroidered box, Yang Yunchong and the rest were about to follow, Zhou Donghuang's voice sounded from inside the room. Immediately Yang Yunchong, Yang Ping, and Yang En stopped in their tracks. Rascal, why are you acting so mysterious? I want to see how you will cure Chief Yang of the poison. Chapter 78. Inside the closed room, Yang Zishi's eyes were almost dazzled as she watched the young man perform acupuncture on her uncle. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. In the hands of the youth, the 2-inch golden needles seemed to come to life, passing through his clothes and entering her uncle's body. The entire process was as smooth as flowing water. Now, Zhou Donghuang was performing acupuncture on Yang Yunji, the chief of the Yang family, which he had learned on Earth in his previous life. In the past, he had used the godly needle of tendon changing and marrow cleansing on freezing wind, which was also an acupuncture technique. Of course, this time he was not using the godly needle of tendon changing and marrow cleansing on Yang Yunji, but a technique called the Big Dipper detoxification needle. The Big Dipper detoxification needle could be used to detoxify and detoxify poison. It was a technique that he had stumbled upon on Earth in his previous life. Furthermore, the Big Dipper detoxification needle had very high requirements for the needles. They had to be 2-inch golden needles, and there had to be 36 of them, corresponding to the 36 Big Dippers. In Yang Zishi's eyes, the youth's movements were as fast as lightning. She could not even see how he performed the needles, and it was a blur to her. When she saw the youth slow down and stop, it was already an hour later. Now, all 36 golden needles were in Yang Yunji's body. Next, I will hit all the acupuncture points in your body, and with the help of the 36 golden needles, I will detoxify you. Zhou Donghuang looked at Yang Yunji and said lightly, this process will be a little painful. As long as you can bear with it, I will be able to successfully complete the first treatment today. Get ready, I will begin in 10 breaths. Zhou Donghuang looked at the young girl standing at the side in a daze and said with a smile, "Zishi, inform the people outside. Later, no matter what you hear in the room, do not barge in and disturb me from treating Chief Yang's poison. Otherwise, not only will it be a waste of effort, but it will also endanger Chief Yang's life." Zhou Donghuang's tone became more serious as he said this. The young lady was startled at first, but she quickly reacted and nodded. At the same time she opened the door and walked out. After informing Yang Yunchong and the others, she returned to the room. By the time Yang Zishi closed the door, 10 breaths of time had passed. At the same time, she saw that the hands of the youth that stood before the bed had swiftly flashed out like a bolt of lightning, and it caused her to be dazzled once more. What was different this time was that there were no golden needles in the young man's hands. His hands alternated between fists and palms as they landed on her uncle's body. Bang, 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 bang. As Zhou Donghuang's hands flashed out like lightning, his fists and palms intersected, landing on Yang Yunji's body. Immediately, a series of dull thuds rang out. In the beginning, although Yang Yunji felt intense pain all over his body, he still gritted his teeth and endured it. But in the end, the pain grew so intense that he could no longer hold it in and began to cry out. Each cry was more pitiful than the one before, sending chills down anyone's spine. If Yang Zishi had not gone out to inform them beforehand, Yang Yunchong and the others standing outside the room would have already barged into the room. Third Master Yang, elders, aren't you afraid that the kid will mess around and harm Chief Yang before the poison takes effect? Sure, you asked Yang Yunchong, Yang Ping, and Yang In as he listened to Yang Yunji's incessant cries. Young Master, sure, rather than waiting for my brother to take effect, I would rather let Medicine Master Zhou have a try. Yang Yunchong said expressionlessly, ignoring Shi Yu's attempts to fan the flames. Third Master Yang, from what you're saying, you're really pinning your hopes on that unknown kid? Shi Yu laughed disdainfully. That kid, even if he really is an inferior level medicine master, how can he compare to Medicine Master Xiao in terms of detoxification? There's no way he can treat a poison that even Medicine Master Xiao is helpless against. Shi Yu said. Young Master Shi, he's already on the verge of saying that he can cure Chief Yang of the Zhao family. If he's unable to cure Chief Yang of the Zhao family today, we will not let him off easily. Yang Ping said in a low voice, for now, let him do as he pleases. That's right. Yang In nodded in agreement with Yang Ping's words. After about a quarter of an hour, Yang Yunji's cries finally stopped, and the room regained its peace. In the room, Yang Zishi stared with his mouth agape. Now, Zhou Donghuang was removing the 36 golden needles from Yang Yunji's body. Every time a golden needle was removed, a stream of black poisonous blood flowed out of Yang Yunji's body, staining the clothes nearby black. And with every stream of poisonous blood that flowed out, there was an obvious change in Yang Yunji's body. When Zhou Donghuang removed all 36 golden needles, about 1/5 of Yang Yunji's white hair had turned black. At the same time, the wrinkles on Yang Yunji's face had lessened significantly. Although he still looked old, he looked much younger than before. If the previous Yang Yunji looked like he was in his 60s or 70s, then the current Yang Yunji looked like he was in his early 60s at most. This is too amazing? If he had not seen it with his own eyes, Yang Zishi would not have believed that someone could have such an ability. It was as if a person had become young again in just 2 hours. Amazing. Too amazing. At this moment, this was the only thought in Yang Zishi's mind. Your recovery is better than I thought. From tomorrow onwards, I'll perform acupuncture on you once a day. In another 4 days you won't need me to perform acupuncture on you anymore. After Zhou Donghuang had placed all the golden needles into the box, he said to Yang Yunji, as long as you continue to take the medicine that I brewed for you every day, in at most 5 or 6 days, you will be back to your peak condition both inside and out. At the same time, Yang Yunji recovered from his shock and hurriedly got off the bed and knelt on the ground, thanking Zhou Donghuang respectfully. Yang Yunji thanks Medicine Master Zhou for giving me a new lease of life. As the person involved, only he could feel the amazing changes happening to his body at this moment. In the past, he could feel his life draining away at every moment and he was aging at every moment. That feeling made him despair. But now, he realized that his life was no longer draining away, and his body had become much younger. Although it was far from what it had been before he had been poisoned, he still felt full of energy. At this moment, Yang Yunji even felt as if he had returned to heaven from hell. He saw the hope of survival. Because of this, he was truly grateful to Zhou Donghuang for giving him the hope of survival, and he even knelt down to thank him. At this moment, he seemed to have forgotten that he was the chief of the Grand Yang family, and that the person before him was only a youth of about 16 or 17 years old. He only knew that this youth had saved his life. Remember what I said. Zhou Donghuang glanced lightly at Yang Yunji, then smiled at Yang Zishi before pushing the door open and leaving the room. Medicine Master Zhou, how is it? Seeing Zhou Donghuang come out, Yang Yunchong, Yang Ping, and Yang An hurriedly went up to him. Go in and see for yourself. Zhou Donghuang said lightly. Almost as soon as Zhou Donghuang finished speaking, there was suddenly a hearty laugh from within the room. Ha! Ha! Hearing the laughter, Yang Yunchong and the other two's eyes lit up, and they rushed into the room immediately. No, impossible. Hearing the hearty laughter from within the room, Shiyu looked at Zhou Donghuang in disbelief, and then followed him into the room. At the same time, Zhou Donghuang returned to his residence in the Yang family household. Yang Yunchong and the others walked into the room, and after seeing Yang Yunji's current state, they did not even need to ask to know what was going on. Medicine Master Zhou is really amazing. Yang An looked away from the shock and gave a heartfelt compliment. Who would have thought that the poison that even Medicine Master Xiao, one of the top 10 medicine masters of the Chu royal city, could do nothing about, could be cured by a 16 or 17-year-old child? Yang Ping could not help but sigh. Big brother, looking at you now, you must have recovered well? Yang Yunchong asked excitedly as he looked at Yang Yunji with shining eyes. Medicine Master Zhou said that starting tomorrow in the next 4 days he will give me 4 more acupuncture treatments, and the poison will be completely removed from my body. Yang Yunji's face was still filled with the excitement of surviving a disaster. It took him a long time to disperse. As long as I keep drinking the medicine soup that he has prepared for me every day, in 5 or 6 days at most, I will be able to recover to my peak, both inside and outside. Congratulations, uncle. The young girl stood at the side, a radiant smile on her beautiful face. She had not smiled so easily in a long time. Zishi, you were the one who invited Medicine Master Zhou back. It is all thanks to you. Yang Yunchong looked at the young girl, his face full of affection. That's right. Miss Zishi deserves the credit for curing the chief's poison this time. Yang Ping and Yang An also looked at the young girl, their faces full of kindness. How is that possible? That kid is at most an inferior-level medicine master. How could he cure the chief of the Yang family of a poison that even Medicine Master Xiao could not? Shiyu, who had followed Yang Yunchong and the others in, looked at Yang Yunji's head of black hair and youthful features, and his face and eyes were full of disbelief. After a moment, he recovered, and without saying goodbye to anyone, he led the old servant out of the room and left the Yang family. That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.